something's different.
I am changing.
I don't know if I like who I'm becoming.
Boyd, there are a lot of people wanting to know what happened down there.
Mom, where's Dad? Why isn't he back yet?
Tabitha, we need to talk.
It means everything they showed us is real. I think they're doing it to make us afraid.
Well, then it worked. There is something ancient here. And it's feeding off our suffering, and it doesn't stop.
We're losing. We're running out of time, and we still don't know the goddamn rules. There is no way to fight back against those things. Everything we've done, every sacrifice we've made, none of us are going anywhere.
You think you're some kind of hero? You're a monster. Lord, please protect us in this dark place where evil roams so freely. This we ask in your name. Amen.
One way or another, the truth always comes out.
I would make sure it doesn't.
Some people still driving around, huh?
It's the worst part. You still expect to find the road that takes you home. It's the part that's cruel.
Maybe we use the sign for the highway.
We didn't miss the sign.
Where are we? So you're telling me I'm in a mystical town. I can't leave.
These woods are not safe after dark.
I can still hear those things whispering. We are stuck.
I'm gonna find us a way out of this place.
Everyone in this town has been exactly where you are right now. There are things you need to know about where you are. This is gonna be the worst night of your life. Do you believe in monsters?
Poor Frank. Good old poor Frank. R.I.P. to Frank, our first and pretty much only casualty of the box, now that I think of it. Frank is the only casualty of that box. It's just actually very surprising. And I don't think we're ever going to see the box come back at this point. I think we're well past it. But the fun of the box was fun while it lasted. But R.I.P. to Frank. We said goodbye to Frank at the end of episode 3 on Choosing Day. And now we are heading into season 1, episode 4, Rock and a Farway. And this is a very interesting episode. It's an episode that introduces quite a few pretty big elements to the show that go on to play huge parts throughout the remainder of the series. Like, of course, the Farway trees. This is actually the first episode where we finally get introduced to the trees, where Victor shows Ethan the first Farway tree. But also we get some very interesting stuff, laid out later on. This is, of course, Victor's first episode where he finally remembers the massacre of 1978 as well. A lot of big moments in this episode that, again, carry out throughout the remainder of the show.
Right. And yeah, we get a description of how the Farway tree works, and we get a demonstration of how it works and an explanation. And then it promptly doesn't work like that in any way at all until Dale goes into it in like season 3, where you come up in a random spot or sometimes inside of a mountain or whatever Victor said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, but yeah, there are a lot of key scenes in this one. And again, this kind of just continues the string. I always think back, when watching these, these first season episodes. this is the kind of stuff that got us hooked. This is the kind of stuff that, and at this point they're still introducing, the characters, kind of developing them and letting us know these people, as well as pushing forward and revealing a little more of the, kind of hinting to us that they're going to let us know kind of what's going on bit by bit. But it was a super cool episode. With definitely some key scenes that we reference even when analyzing season 4. We'll go back to to the first season episodes. So man.
Yeah, it's the first half of season 1 in particular, it's very much foundational episodes that bring up, that introduce things that get referenced, like you said, even all the way into season 4, like the original massacre of 1978, which is a huge kind of catalyst, a huge focal point within the timeline of this big massacre that happened in the 1978 timeline. When Victor was a kid, when Eloise was there, when Miranda was there, when Christopher was there, etc. And it's such a big, massive event, and we've learned a little bit about it here and there ever since, but there's still so much about that night that we still just don't know, in terms of, everything, the whole night as a whole. And I imagine we'll probably get, the definitive answer in season 5 when we kind of travel back to this 1978 massacre. But yeah, this has been a huge moment, a huge kind of part of the show. That has kind of loomed over the show like a shadow from its inception, from it first gets introduced. And of course, the first fresh look at Victor's disco lunchbox before it was all tattered. But yeah, it's kind of funny. The episode starts off where we see Victor walking right out of the root cellar, and we just see bodies all over the place. And you get the sense like, okay, something crazy happened back here when Victor was a kid. And this was the first episode that gives you a little bit more of an indication as to why Victor is so traumatized, why he's so different, why we see right from the very beginning, Victor is different. And you start to learn way more about him from this episode on, in terms of all the stuff that he's really been through. Like, you hear at the beginning how long Victor's been here, but it's hard to really kind of put that into context until you actually see some of the things that he's actually had to go through as a child here. So this episode gives us a really great insight into Victor and to, again, the deep-seated trauma that he's kind of been living with.
Right. Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And yeah, and it's not just, it would have been bad enough if maybe he was just alone or if he was just abandoned, but the means by which he was left alone with everybody else. And this is a nice still too, a nice place to stop in the episode. Because you see, it wasn't just, it's bad enough to see a bunch of dead bodies. It's bad enough to see everybody that you've known dead, but we see limbs severed.
Yeah.
Strewn about, and there's nothing tidy about this.
Carnage.
Yeah,
just pure. And it also gives us a better indication as to how widespread the massacre was as well, because when you first get that, I think when people think about the massacre, they think about all those dead bodies just in the main street of Fromville. But this episode really kind of puts it into context that no, this massacre was massive. It was widespread. It was all over the place. People got killed in the streets. People got killed in the yards. People got killed running into the forest, even running as far as the freaking root cellar. People are getting killed even that far. So it just puts it a little bit more into kind of perspective, just how massive of an event this was, which again, I think it leans a little bit more into how it's most likely that they were all hiding, in their hiding spots like they are every night, and the monsters just simply got the drop on them. And it just turned into a just straight up free-for-all of people just running chaotically all over the place, doing everything they can to escape and just getting killed left and right. It just paints that kind of picture of this pandemonium, very, very widespread, not just contained to the street itself, but everywhere.
Yeah, and the nature of the massacre, how it actually happened, was definitely fodder for a lot of theories. And one of the few that I actually, and I'm very bad with theories, or very, I don't really put a lot of effort into them or time into them. But that was one area where I really wanted to guess. And I had thought about, and ironically, I don't know if you remember, but I'd said, well, maybe it was an eclipse, but I had dismissed it because I was like, well, eclipses don't last that long. Well, then I was thinking, but of course we saw in season 4, natural eclipses don't last that long, but the one that we got, that one wasn't natural. And then after I dismissed that there was an eclipse that turned day into night, which would give the monsters free reign, but even then that wouldn't, I was like, it still wouldn't catch people out in the middle of everything. Then I shifted over to that it had something to do with Christopher, especially with Miranda warning them to hide where Christopher doesn't know. I thought somehow Christopher either got co-opted a la Clara, or something like that, or like looped into the hive mind in some way where the monsters knew where everybody was hiding and were able to flush them out, and that's why everybody was out in the open. Still not sure about that. Maybe we'll get more info on that. But I was glad, in season 4 to get a little, I guess we got a little bit more of the nature of the competition, essentially the game that the Sophia in yellow and the boy in white are playing, that it really is that, and the characters and the monsters and whatnot are essentially, they're playing pieces, they're pawns. But I still, I'd still crave just a straight up flashback of exactly, we've got a few more clues, a few more data points, a few more pieces of the puzzle, but I'm kind of craving just a straight up, one of those, like, explain it to me like I'm 10, just show me a flashback and show me exactly what happened here in the massacre.
And that's really what I want to see too. Like, I don't want the secrets of the massacre and to be another one of those scenes where we're getting it handed down through exposition, where we're hearing about it. I really don't want to see season 5 you kind of continue to go back to that kind of method over and over again of these just exposition dumps. For me, when it comes to storytelling, I think the best part of storytelling is the visual experience, showing your audience something, not telling them. For me, it just always comes across way more profound when you have that visual kind of guide to, think about something as opposed to just hearing about it. So yeah, I'm 100% with you guys. I hope for sure that we get a full-on flashback. Like Sunflower says here, it would be nice to see the massacre in season 5 when Julie saw the man in yellow eating the liver. Again, we keep getting these small little glimpses of it. These 5-10 little second glimpses of the aftermath of the massacre. But yeah, I want to see like a full-on, like 5-minute long flashback where we see everything that happened this night, from Miranda fucking hiding the kids, to whatever part Christopher played, to whatever part the man in yellow played, to the monsters actually getting the drop on all of them, whether it's from an eclipse or finding their hiding spots or whatever the case may be. I really hope we get like a full-on, like 5 to 7 minute sequence of them just showing this whole story from start to finish. Will we get that? I don't know. But man, like if I was writing the show, if I was heading into the 5th and final season, knowing how big of an event this is and how many answers are probably going to spawn from this massive thing, I would dedicate so much to showing the audience the original 1978 massacre. And I would try to pull off like this very epic, like 5-minute sequence that just shows you all of it. But I don't know. I guess we'll see. I just really hope they show us and they don't tell us.
Yeah, and that would be, I think it would almost have, because we're seeing what Victor saw when he came out, so he wouldn't have witnessed what had actually happened. It would almost have to be from the man in yellow perspective.
Could be that.
We'd get to see the night of the
or
massacre.
Miranda.
Oh,
we know Miranda was out there, or Eloise.
Okay, yeah, Eloise. I think they put Eloise to bed, though. Honestly.
Oh yeah, she's gone. She's gone. But we could at least see some of the massacre through her POV and see how she died.
Yeah, but the kid that played her is probably about 38 now.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can swap him with fucking Ethan.
No, but Xavier makes a good point too. I mean, with all with all the flashbacks and all the past events that I mean, not only do I want to see, but I almost feel like they're pretty essential. I mean, we're definitely going to have to see the original, the original sacrifice, the original ritual, and to set that up, there's got to be at least some, there's got to be the original Faustian bargain that the original townsfolk accepted. So, and I was thinking, well, next thing you know, the whole season will be flashbacks, but that's not the case. I mean, these would be some key scenes, and even if they were fully explored, it won't eat up that much. I mean, they've wasted a whole lot more screen time on a whole lot less.
Less. Yeah, absolutely. No, yeah, it would be nice to see it in full, and again, not just hearing about it, but actually seeing it in full, because it's not just a flashback scene, a gore. Let's show everybody this massacre just for shock value. It's a huge part of the actual narrative, of the actual story itself. So it's not like it would be wasted screen time by any means. So yeah, hopefully we get a nice, good flashback to the original massacre. But yeah, this is in this episode right here, season 1, episode 4. This is actually the episode where Victor actually first starts remembering the massacre again, and we'll see that a little bit later on when he's out in the woods and he starts hearing the dog bark. It instantly brings him back to that moment when he was hearing the dog bark in the street and seeing the massacre when he was a kid. So it's very interesting that this theme of Victor having these memories come back to him has started super early on the show, as early as this episode right here. And it's very interesting how it kind of sets up the whole theme, the blueprint for Victor remembering things and following it up with going to find a drawing to see if it's actually real or just a dream he had. This is the episode that sets that whole trend up. When he hears that dog bark and he has that first glimpse of the massacre again, the first thing he does afterwards is run right back to Colony House, right up into his room to look for the drawing of the massacre. He finds it, and then there's like this look of dread on his face when he realizes, holy shit, that was real. This is the very first episode where Victor first has a memory come back to him. And again, we see that trend continue every season pretty much.
Yep. And Victor, early days, Victor not doing anything to dispel the creepiness with the lovely sleep drawing.
I know, man. And that's the thing. Like, I think we talked a little bit about this as well, just briefly, but you look at season 1 of From, and at times the tone of certain characters is a lot different than how they are in seasons 2, 3, and 4. Now that is can be just natural character evolution. Characters always naturally change over time, or at least good characters change over time. You never want to see a character remain stagnant, remain the exact same kind of person they are at the beginning and throughout the whole story. You want to see characters evolve. But, in this instance, it does almost seem like they were writing Victor a little bit more creepy at first. And then they kind of like switched it up a little bit, and they start kind of showing him in a different light. And again, that could just be natural character development. But the juxtaposition kind of is a little, it's noticeable for me, at least, in season 1, where like the first 5 or 6 episodes, first 4 or 5 episodes, they write Victor really, really creepy. And then all of a sudden, from midway in the season on, we start to see him slowly become the Victor that we know and love. But yeah, this was like one of those scenes where he's sitting there just drawing Julie while she's sleeping, laying on the couch. Like, it comes off creepy. It does.
Yeah.
But
and I mean, I guess with showing his early days trauma and kind of explaining how he got to be the way he is, that's the beginning of us becoming more sympathetic to him than everybody else. And that's kind of almost bookended by the scene later where in the diner where Victor sits down with Ethan while Jim's in the bathroom. And we're like, oh, Jim's overreacting, oh, Jim's a dickhead for beating up poor Victor, or for kind of roughing him up, kind of manhandling him or whatever. But again, I mean, context. You got to go. yeah, you got to go way out of your way to not empathize with Jim, where you see this fucking weirdo, this middle-aged weird guy sitting down with your kid, again and again. And it's like, okay, and the same people that would be like, oh, Jim overreacted. Jim shouldn't have, pushed Victor out the door. They're the same ones that are, repeating like a mantra about Frank, a man protects his family, a man protects his family. I mean, that's pretty much what Jim was doing. And I mean, if I were in Jim's situation, given the context and everything that Jim and the rest of the Matthews and whatever they know, especially, they're all of 3 days into this place, not even that, right?
Mm-hmm.
They had the first day, then the choosing ceremony, and then, this is like maybe like 2 days in. Plus he was, Jim was already raw in emotions because because Ethan had told him the story about, what he thought was happening with Thomas, and it's a quest and everything. So Jim had just had kind of a breakdown. He went into the bathroom and cried a little bit. So he's still raw emotionally. And then he comes out and he sees Victor sitting in the booth with Ethan.
Mm-hmm.
I could see Jim,
Yeah.
just being like, nah, I'm not having any of this stuff. But again, this was really the beginning of the split between, where the audience started to get a little more context about, how damaged and traumatized and ultimately innocent, how truly genuinely innocent Victor is.
One of probably the most innocent, and that's what's so interesting about that kind of juxtaposition, because even the chat is saying, like Victor was very creepy in the beginning. Our first impression of Victor in the beginning was creepy, and I think a lot of us did have that impression before we got to know the character. But yeah, then you start to get to know him, and you're like, okay, not only is he not creepy, but he's probably like the purest soul in this place.
Yeah. So yeah. But again, it was very, it was very interesting, and at this point so many years ago, we were 4 episodes in, so and we were just barely starting to get that drip feed of additional information that we get as the outside of that 30,000 foot view. As an audience member, we get to see context to each of these characters, while people there, such as Jim or whatever, they're still processing it. We're seeing Jade processing his new circumstances as well. And that's what I think. That's I always harken back to why the monsters are so important, because it brings us into the moment. But these early episodes, when we're really getting introduced to the characters, and kind of watching them cope and adjust to these wildly unusual and strange circumstances. We also, it wasn't just the terror of the monsters looming about, but it was also, we are also able to inject ourselves into that situation. Very relatable. What would I do in this situation? Overnight, and now we're on day 2 in this weird place, and everybody's telling us this wild story about the place that we're in, that we can't leave, and all this stuff. And you just have to, everybody's coping and everybody's processing it and assimilating it, or just taking in the information at a different rate and a different level of skepticism, a different level of denial. I think I would be in denial after, for a while too, because on the at first blush, it definitely looks like, almost like what Jade was saying. It's either an escape room, like an elaborate, town-sized escape room, or some weird cult, when all these people tell you, you have to come with us, get out of your car and come with us immediately. Okay. I don't think so, man.
I don't think so. He fucking take off. I think that's what's so interesting about these first few episodes. It kind of, there's so many different possibilities that the show kind of could take you in at the beginning. I like the the switch up that we get, where you, especially with Victor, Victor's become one of my favorite characters on the entire show. But they very much set him up in this manner. And like you said, I think like Jim literally 2 seconds before this, as you mentioned, was in the bathroom, just kind of losing it, literally having a cry. Very much how we like to see, how we kind of see Boyd do later on in the episode as well. And like, yeah, I mean, you can understand that this is crazy what is going on right here. I mean, 1 minute you're a normal family going on a vacation, not a normal family. I mean, yes, your family has issues. You're going on this vacation because it's going to be the last one you have before you break it to the kids that you're getting a divorce. But that is normal, quintessential American stuff, family stuff, not just American stuff, family stuff. That is just normal family shit. Parents getting into a divorce, stuff like this. And then all of a sudden you're thrown into this incredibly chaotic, like unbelievable scenario. Could you imagine how we would react if 1 minute we're just driving down the road and next thing we know, we're stuck in Fromville, in a place like Fromville where these things are actually real, literal monsters coming out at night to hunt you. I mean, you can understand why the psychological aspect of the show is played into so much. And I love that it is, because it would exactly be like that. You would have people that just would not be able to handle something like this. That, having just the paradigm shift of your whole reality, your whole foundation, your whole belief system just completely shaken from under you, where you think the world is this way. And now you're finding out that you had no idea how the world really is. I love how we see these characters have to take these moments to themselves to really just break down every once in a while, to just be human, to try and process somehow the unprocessable. Like, this is it just completely outside of the realm of anything normal. Especially when you're coming into this place with a family. Nonetheless, it's one thing to get stuck here alone. At least then you kind of only have to worry about your own surviving on your own, worry about yourself, and that's it. But someone like Jim, who's coming in here with a wife, 2 children, young children at that, like, you can only imagine, I could only imagine, like, what that must really, really do to someone's psyche. And that's why I like shows like this, when you have these kind of, outlandish scenarios. Sometimes these other stories that have similar situations don't take enough time to really analyze the psychology of it and what it does to these people mentally. And that's one thing I really love about From. It's been a very heavy part of the show from the very beginning, how people who can't adjust here, people who can't adapt to this crazy new, way of living, ultimately end up snapping. And I love the psychological element of the show, and seeing little scenes like this of Jim hopping into the bathroom, and even way more later, like with Boyd's is fucking so good, just because how Perrin was phenomenal. These are some of the best scenes in season 1. Super simple, just raw human emotion being kind of, released, venting, if you will. And especially knowing that you can't do it in front of your son. So I thought this was a great scene of Jim just needing a moment. But like you said, it also explains his reaction to Victor that much more as well. Like, 2 seconds ago, you're in the bathroom just having this massive meltdown. Then you get back to your fucking table and this creepy dude sitting with your kid. Yeah. I can understand why Jim got mad.
Yeah. And this is a tough show, and we've done, probably a dozen times, which character would you be, there's which character would you be, like, if you really look at yourself and say which one is most like you. And then there's, of course, the aspirational, which one would you like to be, which one is more like you. I don't know. I don't know, I couldn't say exactly who I would be, because we saw even the celiac guy, Eric, he couldn't take it anymore, and he checked out. I would definitely be, for me, it would have to be the number of times I would have to have made almost like Jim and, the rest of the Matthews in the RV, and kind of like how the town allows them to do, allow you to go through that loop enough times and circle back and till it really does sink in that you aren't getting out. We're not, the rest of the town had nothing to do with it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Hands off. We're not telling you what to do. Go ahead. If you want to, if you can escape, go ahead. If you want to drive down the road,
shit, we'll be right behind you.
Yeah. But that's how it starts thinking. Yeah. But sometimes you have to do it, maybe 2 times, 3 times, 5 times, 10 times, make that loop till you accept what's in front of you. You have to believe your eyes. You have to believe what you're seeing in front of your eyes, even if it's otherwise impossible logically. So yeah, this is tough, man. This is a good episode. And yeah, we had Jim breaking down and Boyd with his iconic classic scene where he broke down. Another great one, and one that even going through, even through analyzing season 4, we still harken back to a lot of these key scenes, these key introductory scenes, and these key, and that was the first time that Boyd, that we'd seen Boyd have a breakdown. That, hey, wait a minute, these aren't, paragon characters. These aren't like characters that exemplify exactly one and only one trait. These are they're doing their best to make them real people with real frailties sometimes. So
no, and that's what I like about the characters, the way that they're set up very early on. These are very much your kind of average, just regular people that you see every day on the street. Like, that's one thing that we see with a lot of shows these days. Like, sometimes they'll cast like a certain like idealistic look where they'll go for like the most beautiful or the most handsome kind of castings they can find. But I like a show like this that more reflects just like your average everyday kind of people that you'll see on the street, just normal people just trying to live, just trying to survive and make a life for themselves. That's one thing I've liked about From. It has that very kind of blue collary feeling where a lot of these people that have been stuck here are just normal people. And then once you learn a little bit later on that a lot of them were all kind of in some kind of crossroads in their life, before when they got stuck here. You see the human element very, very early on the show. For as crazy as it gets, for all the horror elements, the fantasy elements, the sci-fi elements, at its core, this is a very, very human show fundamentally, and that's what I like. It's anchored in that that realism, that human experience that you're going through in this kind of crazy world, in this crazy situation.
Oh yeah, and you would definitely see. You could see Donna at the grocery store. You could see pretty much any of these people at the grocery store.
Yeah, you could see them.
If Jim was played by Alan Ritchson, it would not be.
It wouldn't be the same. It wouldn't be the same. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, and again, it's just it makes the characters fun. It makes characters much more fun when you kind of you kind of see like, oh shit, this is exactly probably how I would have handled this if I was here. But yeah, good stuff. But you guys in the chat as well, if you guys did have a chance to watch episode 4, before, again, we're going to be doing these for every episode in season 1. PM and I will be doing episode 5 on Saturday. So if anybody did have a chance to watch episode 4, let us know in the chat. Did you guys pick up on any new clues, any new theories, any new perspectives on any of these scenes after seeing season 4? What did you guys see in your rewatch? And yes, I got to say, I miss Jim too, Marjoram. I got to say, I found myself missing Jim in season 4. I'll straight up say it. And I think I've said this on a previous stream as well. I don't mind admitting it. I've never been a huge Jim hater. I've kind of always liked the character of Jim. I've noticed his flaws, of course. He's a very flawed character, as are most of these characters. But I never understood the massive Jim hate. I always kind of liked Jim a little bit. He's a father. He's a working man, just doing his best to try and protect his family. Is he a little overbearing? Does he hold on a little too tight? Absolutely. Does he need to work on some things and evolve? Absolutely. But I have always liked Jim as a character, and I just feel like he brought something to the show. This kind of steadiness, I guess you could say, that I feel was very much missing in season 4. So no, I'm kind of with you. I miss Jim. I know I very much noticed Jim's absence super early on in season 4. It just felt like a big void in the show.
Yeah. He always had, a fairly grounded view of things, and even when he was, thinking when Randall and him were conspiring. Yeah. When and that there's something going on, that there's something more. He was always looking for an answer, not in the pseudo intellectual kind of. Well, I mean, it's consistent with Jade, but they want to start talking quantum this and that, and it's like that's techno babble jibber jabber for when they start talking about like quantum realms and all this other stuff. The thing about Jim, though, I think that kind of took on a life of its own. The Jim hate, once it becomes a meme, nobody gets attention
Once
or
it becomes
credit.
meme, yeah.
You don't like if you hate him at a 6 out of 10, you don't get any credit or clout. You got to hate him at an 11 out of 10, and and then it's like a fish story. It grows in the telling. So yeah, the anti-Jimites.
Poor Jim, man. Poor fucking Jim. But yeah, he's I like Jim as a character, and I did notice his absence in season 4. I definitely did. We have Sunflower, who has just gifted 2 jewels. Thank you so much, Sunflower, for the gift of the jewels. Very, 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 very much appreciate you, my friend. If you have anything in particular that you want us to dive into regarding episode 4, please let us know in the chat. I just don't want it to be aliens. Yeah, I don't want it to be aliens either, and I definitely don't want it to be some kind of hell or purgatory. Even though the creators have kind of already come out and said it's not purgatory, it's not a dream or anything like that. They have come out and said, debunked quite a few of those theories, which is good. I don't know. I get the feeling Fromville is going to be, some other kind of realm, some other kind of, I don't like to call it pocket dimension because pocket dimension's a little different, but some other kind of plane of existence, I think From is, that was maybe created either by the children or during the sacrifice or by some other means. But it very much feels like it's a real place. I don't get the sense that they're going to pull the rug out from underneath us at the end and say, oh, they've been dead the whole time, or this is hell, or this is this or that. I just don't see that being the case. From very much feels like a real, tangible place. I feel like the show is more firmly into the kind of mystical, kind of supernatural kind of territory at this point. It seems like it's very much rooted and grounded in its supernatural aspects. But I would be very surprised if we found out at the end that this was some kind of like simulation or something like that. I would be very surprised and very disappointed.
Yeah. And with the end of season 4, like just flat out laying it out to us that it is a game between Sophia and Yellow and Boy and White, and that it's been played multiple times. It reminds me, and this is way back. I mean, back when theories about the world, when simulations, when aliens, when everything was still wide open. I always thought back to the original Clash of the Titans, the one that uses stop motion, where the gods are literally moving pieces like heroes and the monsters on the chessboard and stuff.
Classic film. Classic.
That one. It was, I mean, at the time, man, it was as cool as it could be. That was
that
before.
Thing holds up, man. Yeah. For me, that thing still holds up.
But the gods with they had their little almost like a Warhammer 40K table where they had their little pieces and they just move them here and there, and meanwhile the people on the ground, the heroes and the monsters and whatnot, they were living their lives as if it was always the case. Now will it turn out that Sophia and the Boy in White are gods? Maybe they're the gods' kids, playing a game like Connect Fours on the battleship.
Maybe, who knows? Who knows? I mean, it definitely seems like the whole cycles thing, this kind of repeat, this history repeating over and over and over again, very much seems that we're firmly in that territory. The reincarnations of the original Jades and original Tabithas, all of these different cycles, all of these different kind of generations of people getting stuck in From, with none of them being able to figure it out. None of them ever really coming close, it seems, even to saving the children. I feel like at this point, there's still so much we don't know, of course, but I do feel like we have a pretty good grasp heading into the final season that, okay, this is very much a supernatural-based show. There is very much these cycles going on that need to be broken. The children need to be saved. They can't just escape, find a way out and book out the back door. They'll probably just get pulled right back in like Tabitha did. They have to complete something in order to leave. And I feel like that's what we're probably going to get in the final season. That play out with, of course, all of the answers that we still don't have, because there's still tons that we don't freaking know.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But again, it was funny that, you know, and Xavier had mentioned it. There's a lot of things that they do need to reconcile in season 5 while pushing forward to the ultimate ending. So there's a lot of explaining of things that we've already seen while they push forward to the ultimate goal. And you know, he mentioned, you know, there's only, you know, essentially 10 hours, 47
not even
minute
10
episodes.
hours. I mean, we get 10 episodes of From, yes, but you look at the run times, it's around 40 to 45 minutes of like actual showtime. We were talking about this the other day. I think it was you and I on the House of the Dragon stream, in terms of the difference. Like you only get 8 episodes of House of the Dragon, but every single episode is like an hour, 70, sometimes 80 fucking minutes long, every single episode. So even though you're only getting 8 of House of the Dragon, you're getting way more actual screen time than 10 episodes of From.
Right. And the thing is, you know, if they run out of runway, if they there's stuff that if they want to tell a complete story, you know, even if they've got the ending mapped out and want to tie it up with a bow, there's still answers about previous stuff, and it's not the audience's fault for demanding it. It's their fault. You know, they put it in there. They put it in the show. They created these questions. It's not our fault for having the questions that they put in, you know, that they baited us into having. And when we want answers to it, it's not the audience being demanding or the audience being unreasonable. You know, they put these, you know, some of them might be red herrings, some of them might be whatever, but they put these plot hooks in. And yes, we're naturally going to be curious about it, and we're naturally going to want to see them resolved. Again, and so I don't feel bad for them, you know, if they've kind of written themselves into a situation where they have to be calorie dense in these last few episodes as far as giving answers to past things. Because I mean, again, at the end of the end of season 4, we found out that it's a game, but just like we were talking about, we know it's a game, but we still don't know the nature of the game. I mean, we don't know the nature of the players. You know, what exactly are, you know, we know that Sophia and the man in yellow are the player, or the Sophia and the boy in white are the players, but what is the nature of them? So there's a lot of answers that they need to, you know, pack into this episode, the remaining episodes. And I don't feel bad for the writers if they've kind of written themselves into a tough situation. That's their job to get themselves out of it, because ultimately that's why they draw a paycheck. You know, tell the complete story, tie it up with a bow, give us all the answers, or the answers of the stuff that need to be told. There's stuff there's stuff that, you know, about, you know, even just what we've referenced earlier, just in this show, the, you know, how exactly the massacre transpired, how exactly certain things took place. We need those answers for the story to be complete. So that's what I'm hoping for. And if that's the case, if the remaining 10 episodes in season 5 are super dense with information and data points and explanations of all the stuff that we've seen in the previous 4 seasons, that's great. You know, that'll make for some great episodes if we're getting all these answers. So I'm here for it.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes into this final season, again, there is still a lot that they have to get through. They have 10 episodes left. A lot of stuff that still needs to be uncovered, and even, you know, just apart from the actual answers to the mysteries that need to be uncovered, you also still need to kind of drive home these individual character narratives and the individual storylines. And again, you know, they've said from the beginning that they have a pretty clear path in terms of, you know, what they want to do, what the ending is going to look like. They did put out that article before season 4 dropped, you know, claiming that they feel that they've tied up every end that they possibly could. They feel that they're telling the best ending to the story that they're capable of telling. But I guess it'll be interesting to see what that is going to be. I mean, there's always going to be some things that are going to be left, you know, unanswered or ambiguous. It's really just a matter of what things those are. Are we going to get all of the big stuff? I have to imagine we will. Like the stuff that really, really matters to the narrative, like seeing the original timeline, seeing the original massacre, seeing the original Jade and Tabitha, seeing how this deal was first brought into existence. Who offered this deal to the original parents? Was it the Man in Yellow? Was it something else? How did it actually happen? How did it come to be? Who approached who? So there's tons of stuff that they still need to give us. But again, I feel like there is a clear path for them to do it. It's just really a matter of how they choose to use that screen time in that final season. But yeah, again, they got a lot. There's a lot to get through in that final season. But yeah, this is the story that they told. So I guess we'll see if they can stick the landing.
Yeah, and I'm totally on board with I'm totally on board with Chiquita Cyborg. Whatever they do, however much time they have, no more Patty storyline. Get her out of there. It's unnecessary. That's kind of a slap in the face. It's a waste of time for me. It's just like, she's definitely fast forward material. I don't care what happens to her. I don't care if she changes. I don't care if she develops. I don't care if she dies instantly next, in minute 1 of the cold open of season 5. Just get her out of there. Don't even tell me what happened to Patty. Let her just vanish.
Well, and I think this is one of the problems that From kind of has a little bit to a certain extent is too many characters. It's got a massive cast to the point where some of these characters have been languishing, ever since they were first introduced onto the show and given really no development, no storylines or anything. Like Bacta, for instance. Mm-hmm. She gets introduced as one of the main bus characters at the very beginning of season 2, and they've done nothing with Bacta's character, literally next to nothing other than giving her the diner. Whoop-de-whoop. So I do feel like at times From does suffer from just having way too big a cast. And when you already have a massive cast like this, and then you're kind of going out of your way to kind of give like literal background extra characters, main storylines like Patty, NPC Roger, freaking Clara being the freaking mole. I mean, it takes away from your core cast, and it takes away from what I believe they should have been focusing on in season 4. And I think some of these reasons are why season 4 wasn't received super well by a good portion of the audience. It has had its good moments. Don't get me wrong. Like I feel like season 4 has its ups and downs, but just based on some of the comments that we've been seeing, and we see quite a lot of comments from fans, like a ton actually. It does seem like season 4 has been most people's least favorite season. And I'm right there as well. Season 4 is definitely my least favorite out of the 3. I mean, season 1 will always be my favorite. Season 3, definitely my second favorite, with season 2 being my third favorite and season 4 being my fourth favorite. Just by process of elimination, there's always going to be one season that's your favorite and one season that's your least favorite. That's just natural. But for me, season 4, I just feel like season 4 didn't maximize its potential. Things that it could have done, narrative-wise, story-wise, missed opportunities here and there that I think could have been really, really beneficial to the characters and to the overall narrative. And we've talked about them. I mean, we've talked about specifics throughout the entirety of our coverage for season 4. But yeah, I don't know. I think heading into season 5, they do have a pretty big task. Like, this is a monumental task they have ahead of them, trying to wrap all of this up. All of these characters, all of these storylines, all of these mysteries with only 10 episodes left, especially when your episodes are super short, that's a big task. That is a pretty big task. I can't wait to see it. Don't get me wrong. Like, again, I feel like the writers of From have given us far, far more good storytelling than bad storytelling, at least for me anyway. So I definitely feel like, if anyone can pull this off, it's them. It's John Griffin and his team. So I want to see it. I want to see how are they going to tackle this final season? What is the tone of this final season going to look like? What is the pacing of this final season going to look like? I have to imagine it's going to have a much quicker pacing. And that's why I wouldn't mind if they introduced something into the narrative where Fromville itself was beginning to collapse, was beginning to deteriorate. I wouldn't be surprised if pulling out that Farway tree started the destabilization, for lack of a better term, of Fromville, to the point where You know, they have literally a ticking clock hanging over their heads as they're in this 5th and final season, trying to get this done before this whole place just collapses in them with it. That adds a sense of urgency to the show. That makes it a little bit more easy to kind of speed up the narrative where it doesn't look weird and out of place and the pacing doesn't look all wonky. So I am very interested to see how they're going to tackle this final season. And again, in particular, the pacing, because like you said, they have a lot to get through and only one season left to do it. But I can't fucking wait to see what they do.
Yeah, for some reason, I felt I never resonated with season 2, so I would actually probably put season 4 third rather than last. But and
Cool,
that
okay.
might but
Nice.
fourth season 4 was wildly unpredictable though. I mean I remember when it first started, we kept waiting for that next banger of an episode, and it was like,
this is gonna be the one.
The next one, and
This
then of
next
course
one's
that
gonna
big,
be the one.
and then the 2-week break in the middle. We thought, oh, they're either going to leave us with something. I think it was for Memorial Day. It was like, okay, yeah, they're either going to give us something awesome to chew on for 2 weeks while we wait, or they're gonna, and then when that didn't happen, like, oh man, when they come back from the break, they're going to give us something really exciting. But yeah, and we talked about character bloat, throughout season 4, about the number of people, and even people that we like. We just said, they need to trim off some of these people, and instead they introduce. I mean, even if they introduced Patty and Roger, they introduced, killing off 2 people or killing off 1 person and leaving Patty. They didn't actually pare down, the roster that much. They the people that they killed, didn't take up that much screen time anyway. And, okay, introduce Roger and then kill him off. That's not, we're back to, we worked our way back to 0. That doesn't, doesn't do us any, that doesn't do us any good. So, maybe we'll see a higher death count throughout the season in episode 5, not some, not a catastrophic, but, and again, if it's the characters that we like or love, or at least are very familiar with, I think the writers will feel obligated to give them a poignant ending or to make it meaningful in some way. Dale was always played for comic relief, so his death was almost played for, I mean, I won't say comic relief, but it was just like, there's Dale ended up the way Dale was always going to end up, that kind of stuff. But I'm anxious to see how many people die in season 5, and how quickly they do, in order to make room for the character pairings and the stories that they need to finish up the entire story. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and that's why I was definitely expecting them to shave a little bit off of the cast in season 4. Like, I was very much expecting that we were going to lose at least 3 or 4 characters in season 4. Because we lost 2 main characters in season 3. With Tianchen and Jim there at the end. And I thought, okay, if season 3 is going to kind of knock off 2 of them, we only have 2 seasons left, and we do just have too many characters at times. There just is. The cast is just too big. And I think that's why we see some of these characters not getting any development at all, like a Bacta. So I very much thought that, okay, season 4 is probably going to be the perfect opportunity from a writing standpoint to shave off some of these characters. That way you head into season 5 a little bit leaner, a little bit more focused on your kind of core characters that you need to really tell this narrative. And I feel like they kind of just did the opposite thing with season 4, where instead of shaving some characters off, they literally took background characters, extras, and made them more prominent. Again, I just feel like it's not the best use of screen time at times when you're getting down to your final 2 seasons to give this much screen time to a Roger or a Patty or a Clara. But that's just my personal opinion. But
do you think they're too in love with the characters that they've written that they don't want to let them go? Because I mean, Randall,
we've heard why. We heard the explanation why. Apparently, when it comes to Clara, at least Clara being the mole, apparently that was an idea that Jack Bender really liked, from what we're hearing, and they kind of just wanted to throw it in there. Again, and I think we've seen examples of this throughout the course of the show, where sometimes like these really big popular fan theories sometimes get thrown into the show just as a wink and a nod or as an actual narrative. And I think that's what we saw happen with this Clara thing. It was just too much on the nose for them to put that into the show if they didn't know it was a massive, massive fan theory. So that's what I think happens sometimes. They'll throw some stuff in there just as a wink and a nod to the fans, maybe every once in a while, like the tarot cards and stuff like that. And, talking about can you use the talismans to trap a monster, which was a huge fan theory in the first 2 seasons. So I think it's just little winks and nods to some cool fan theories. But with season 4, it was a little bit more than a wink and a nod. Like they made it a full-on narrative with Clara being the mole.
Right. And that was just because she popped up. She was a character of convenience. Like whenever they needed a break in the dialogue, when somebody at the police station was having an intense dialogue, Clara would pop in and say, "Oh, boy, they need you up at Colony," or "Boy, they need boy, this happens, that happens." And she was the scene interrupter, and that's why everybody thought she was a mole, just because she popped up everywhere. But she was the character of convenience. And yeah, I honestly, that they wrote her into being the Manianiello's pawn, the actual literal mole. I was just like, okay, it wasn't as I wasn't all in love with the Clara as the mole theory, because I saw her as what she was. She was just a scene break character. Because you ever know, I mean, that's almost a meme in itself in this show, is every time somebody gets into an intense dialogue, somebody will pop in and say, "Hey, somebody needs you." For a while it was Donna. Donna would pop up right, when people are in the church having a discussion.
And a lot of people still think she's a mole. Yeah.
And it was funny, but that's just what they do. Rather than just a hard cut to black and on to the next scene, they have another character pop in and interrupt and say, one or the other of the characters that are dialoguing have to, "Hey, Boyd, we need you here," or, "Jade, what about this?" Or, they pull you, they're pulled away urgently to a task. So, and it's fine. I didn't mind it at all. But yeah, I could do without Clara. I don't really care. And she was missing for a lot of there was a good part of season 4 where people are like, "Where's Clara? Where's Clara?"
Yeah.
Because she hadn't been around. And I guess they were saving that little mole reveal. And again, it didn't hit. I mean, I'm sure the people that were obsessed with Clara or keeping track of her were delighted, but it was just like, a shrug. It was a nothing for me. It was like, okay, well, there we go then. But again, they're telling the story, so I mean, I'm not going to rail against it or
oh no, of course
be
not.
mad. It's just like, okay, we're along for the ride. Once it's like a roller coaster. Yeah, once they pull those gates down and you're locked in. Yeah, well, I'll see you at the end.
We will see where it goes. And speaking of seeing where it goes, let me say a big thank you to Xavier Anderson, my pal. Thank you so much, Xavier, for all of the jewels that you have just gifted. 10 jewels, 10 jewels, 2 jewels, 2 jewels, 2 jewels, 67 jewels, 30 jewels. Wow, thank you so much, Xavier, my friend, my pal. Very much appreciate you. And again, you have anything specific that you want us to dive into, please throw it in the chat, and we will definitely dive headfirst into it. Anything at all, whether it's pertaining to episode 4 or anything from. Let us know, my friend. But thank you so much for the jewels. And we also have Sunflower for $4.99 as well. Thank you so much, Sunflower. Very much appreciate it. Is there a full picture of Trudy's black shirt that she stole from Julie? I feel like it had meaning in this episode with Julie getting so upset. I don't know. Let's go back. I know we see Trudy at the beginning of the episode when Victor is kind of drawing the right after Victor gives Julie the drawing of her laying down. We see here's Trudy. Now, is there any significance to the shirt that she's wearing? Again, we know that she's wearing one of Julie's shirts, but do we ever get like a full glimpse of it? I don't know. Let's see. Okay, that's like maybe the best we're gonna get. Let's see. Let it play a little more. Yeah, she's just. All right, that might be the best glimpse we're gonna get. I mean, it's definitely not the illusion shirt, right? It doesn't look like it anyway. I know we see Julie with that illusion shirt on that a lot of people caught early on. It doesn't appear to be that. I don't know. It doesn't. It's kind of hard to tell. I'm not sure if it's meant to mean anything, but I don't know. I mean, I think if I was Julie, if I was in her shoes, I would probably be upset as well. I mean, you know, you're in this new place, this new house. You're away from your family, probably for the first time in her whole life, given her age. And next thing you know, you kind of wake up and you see just some random fucking girl wearing your shirt. I'd be a little verklempt. I'm not lying. I'd be a little perturbed, a little bit.
And it was with no without asking or anything. I mean,
no asking,
clearly, and she Julie had just got done receiving the picture of her sleeping self from Victor, and now this
right?
chick comes in wearing her shirt, and it's like, oh yeah, we share everything here. I got it out of your suitcase. Yeah, so I think the reality, and I think we see that later in this episode too, when Julie's like, when she tells Fatima, she's like, I think I made a mistake, because the darker side, or the less appealing side of Colony House is being revealed to her in rapid succession.
Exactly. And that's the thing. I think Julie had this idea of what she thought Colony House was in her head, just based off that very limited experience she had with Fatima and Ellis, like right at the beginning, where they're kind of just, she's seeing this nice room, all these drawings, all these people living together. And she's not seeing, like you said, the darker side of Colony House, all the fucking weird shit that goes on here, like sharing each other's fucking clothes. So yeah, I do think that this is the beginning of Julie's eyes opening to a certain extent, and her realizing, like, shit, I might have made the wrong choice here. And again, she's at that young kind of 16-year-old teenager rebellious phase. We've all gone through it, where you want to be separate from your family. You want to start establishing yourself as your own person, as your own young adult. So you totally understand why they gave her this storyline. But yeah, I like that they're also showing us that Julie's realizing, okay, maybe I was a little too hasty. Maybe I didn't make the right choice. Maybe being with my family is actually where I'm supposed to be. And I think she needed to see the darker aspects of Colony House for her to realize that. So yeah, I think it was a good learning moment for Julie, and a good moment of growth for Julie to realize just like how important family is too.
Right. And that was, I mean, I kind of get her, in the last episode with the choosing ceremony, where when Kotri was going to give them like the grand tour of the town and stuff, and they didn't bring Julie along, and she wanted to go along. But by the same token, man, when you have the choosing ceremony, ultimately, Julie is a minor, she is a minor child. So I would definitely have not been cool with, with her getting full whatever choice to separate from the family. Like and I totally get Tabitha and Jim not being too excited about that. But again,
honestly, I think that's a weird rule to begin with. I mean, like for someone as young as Ethan to, have his own choice as to whether or not he wants to live at Colony House or the town, regardless of what his family does. Right. That's crazy. I'm sorry. That's absolutely nuts. So yeah, the whole choosing ceremony is just flawed.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah. But we're, again, I guess this is kind of, this is the closest we got to character development of Julie until she started getting story walking abilities.
Pretty much.
Then it really, because she was always a little bit of a pause. Yeah. She was she was that, snarky, petulant teenager that, always bucked against anything that, that her parents told her. And, and I think they were trying to lean into her being resentful of Tabitha and Jim's divorce. And, and they kind of, I think it was this episode where they touched on it. I knew, when were you going to tell us or whatever? Yeah. We knew this was one last hurrah. Yeah.
Yeah. She sniffed it out for sure. Again, definitely a growing moment, a learning moment for Julie's character. Some character development there, her realizing I might have made the wrong choice here. Yeah, absolutely. But in terms of the full picture of Trudy's shirt, I'm not sure if it had, if it is, had deeper meaning or anything like that. It just seems like Julie was probably a little upset that, you wake up and you got some random wearing your freaking shirt. I'd be a little pissed. I'd be a little pissed too. And we see how Randall reacts to it. When Randall first gets to Colony House and he sees somebody going through his bag, he goes off. I probably would have had closer to a Randall reaction, if anything. Yeah, but I don't know. We'll see. But thank you so much, Sunflower, for the $4.99, and thank you, Guns and Roses, for the 2 jewels and another 2 jewels. Thank you so much, my friend. Very, very much appreciate it. Yeah, and I owe all of you guys a throwing those.
Yeah. And also, take into account, we have to put ourselves where these characters were within the story. 12 hours earlier, she was tied to a chair.
Literally tied to a chair. Like literally tied to a freaking chair just a few hours earlier. Yeah, again, it's Fromville, man. This place is nuts, especially in the beginning. This place is fucking nuts. But yeah, and again, we see this theme kind of continue later on in the show with Trudy and Fatima, where when Fatima kind of gives Trudy her favorite sweater, the sweater that Trudy really, really likes, and then later on when we see Trudy get killed in that sweater, Ellis thinks that it's Fatima that got killed when he sees her kind of laying on the floor. So this whole kind of scene we're getting here between Julie and Trudy very much felt like it was set up for that, set up for the Fatima scene later on. But yeah, then we get Boyd again. This is Boyd fresh off of the end of episode 3 when he unfortunately had to put Frank into the box, and this is when we get our first glimpse of Frank and just how mangled he really is. They did a number on Frank. They really, really did a number on Frank to the point where his legs are like fucking pancakes. His legs are just mush. They're gone. Again, very much not shying away from the brutality in these first few episodes of season 1, showing us just how dangerous these monsters are and how much they seem to enjoy inflicting pain, how much they like relishing in the kind of slow death process that they put these people through, because we know it's not fast. We know this is by no means a fast death. We learned that very early on from Donna when she kind of recounts the killing of her sister and how it kind of lasted pretty much all night. And then we even get that confirmed ourselves later on when we see the death of Tien Chen, how it's very much kind of nasty and drawn out and painful and brutal. So yeah, that was one thing I always really enjoyed about the first few episodes of season 1. Like they really did not shy away from showing you the brutality. And I think it's, all of these reasons are why I think the audience just loves the monster so much and really loves the monster heavy episodes. Because they're just super cool. They're super unique. They're super scary. Like I can't remember the last time I've actually watched a TV show and thought, okay, like that's actually like legit a scary villain. That's like legit a scary monster. From did that to me early on. Like the first time you see Smiley, the first time you see the cowboy, the first time you see Granny fucking monster, or the creepy freaking nurse. Like these are legit creepy fucking villains. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I love how, season 1 and season 2 in particular, they really lean heavy into the horror elements of From, set the foundations of just how brutal the show can really get. And then they slowly start kind of kicking open the door and go into more and more kind of supernatural territory. But season 1 was just like straight up a horror show.
Yeah, and if you've watched horror shows or slasher movies or anything, you've seen people get killed in every kind of way. Impaled, stabbed, sliced and diced, chopped and julienned. But the open chest cavity is a powerful visual, and it doesn't really get too over. I mean, that's part of what made the chest burster scene in Alien an iconic and still referenced scene and oft repeated scene. Having the ribs, the ribs splayed apart, and in addition to all the additional gore and stuff, and plus, as you described, the granny or the cowboy or the nurse or they're all clean, they're all pretty mellow, they're just walking around small, smiling, having small talk, they're not like feral creatures right up until they are. and then we get to see the aftermath of that, which was super cool. And again, really powerful visuals with all the guts and gore and viscera and everything spread about. And we'll see it, of course we'll see it again when Victor sees the dismembered bodies and whatnot. But yeah, it was definitely cool. And they had Boyd and Khatri had a nice dialogue exchange, right after that scene. Yeah, when Boyd is loading up, and because here where Boyd hands off to Khatri the wheelbarrow, right?
Yeah.
Or he's a little blood. It's probably after this, right? Because he's a lot bloodier.
It's after he goes in and clears out the body here. And then he comes back with replacement boards. And when he's tacking on the replacement boards, that's when Khatri shows up and they have that really good conversation.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, it is. It's actually a really good conversation. And you see, Father Khatri even kind of invokes Boyd's wife there for a second.
Right. Right.
But
Father, you want to be real careful about the next thing you say.
Yeah, you want to be real careful about what comes out of your mouth next. But we also get, again, some good, world building in this episode as well, where we get our first glimpse of the diner and how the diner really works. Yes, we see it in episode 2 when Jade kind of just runs through there, but here we get to see like a better kind of, showing of how the diner works, how the town works. Jade is slowly kind of coming to terms with this place being real and wondering what the heck's going on. And at this point, when Jade sees his first vision, he just thinks it's just part of the show. This is just part of this weird escape room that I'm in. But now that he knows this place is real, now that he knows Toby is dead, I love how right from the very beginning, Jade starts going right into this symbol thing and starts wondering what the heck is going on here. Jade wastes no time in terms of, starting to investigate, starting to try and figure out what this place is, trying to learn a little bit more about it. Hell, it's in this episode where he first grabs the radio that him and Jim end up making a whole radio tower for by the end of the first season. So I love how Jade doesn't really kind of wallow in self-pity. He doesn't wallow in fear. He doesn't wallow in guilt or anything like that, or grief after he finds out Toby's dead. He literally just gets right to work. And I love that. I feel like that shows, it's very early on, it shows the kind of mind that Jade has, that maybe he is mentally a little stronger than we thought he was. Because something like this is easily enough to just break someone. Where one minute you think you're in this wild, elaborate escape room with your rich best friend. Next thing you know, your rich best friend is dead and you're literally in a nightmarish freaking hellhole. Where monsters come out at night and kill you, and you're already having visions of weird ass fucking shit. That's enough to send anybody off the deep end. But I love how, it doesn't phase Jade like that. He kind of looks at everything, from an X's and O's standpoint in the beginning, and he wants to solve it as opposed to kind of running away from it, or he's afraid of it. But he's still running towards it right from the very beginning. So I always thought that was interesting about Jade's character, where, again, I don't think anybody would have faulted him if he would have kind of sunk into a kind of, not so much guilt, but sunk into a depression, or, grieving, the loss of his best friend, or grieving the fact that he's stuck in this place now. But he doesn't. Again, I love how he gets right to work.
Yeah. He didn't, he didn't take too long to dive right into trying to figure it out.
Yeah. He doesn't wallow in it. He does not wallow in it. That's for sure. He gets right to work.
And how did Kenny take it? I mean, it's funny that they're trying to they're trying to explain to the new people all the weirdness about the world that they're in. Mm-hmm. And they're expected to accept it on face value. But then, Kenny being skeptical when Jade's like, hey, this happened. How's Kenny supposed to? Well, I got to let somebody go. Somebody's.
Yeah, I don't know. It's and that's the thing, Kenny's, some of the characters that are already here when the show starts, like your Donnas, your Kennys, Boyd, we at least get to see, like, we get that really good flashback, and we actually get to see how Boyd and his family react to arriving in Frontville. I love that. That's one thing I wish we could have gotten a little bit more. I understand how the writers talked about not wanting to kind of dive into too much of who these characters were in the real world before they got stuck here. That I understand, but I do wish that they would have shown us a little bit more, a few more flashbacks of them actually arriving. How did Kenny and his family react when they first saw the tree in the road? How did Donna react? How did Fatima react? How did Christy react? All of these characters that were already here. How did Kotri react? That is something that I think could have been very interesting to see. Again, you don't have to go full on into their backstories and tell us who they were in the real world, and do the whole Lost thing. But I think it could have been beneficial to see how each character reacts to kind of showing up in this place, the way we get to see it from the Matthews family and from Boyd's perspective.
And we did get the good jump scare with the the boulder Jade.
Fucking boulder, dude. Fucking boulder Jade. Yeah, and it's so funny. Like imagine, going back. I'm thinking back all those years ago when I watched this episode for the first time, or I watched season 1 for the first time. I think that probably would have been one of my last theories, one of the least things that I would have thought of, that Jade is literally seeing a version of himself, this boulder dude, literally a version of yourself. But here we are. Still, and again, how they managed to kill someone with a boulder is still something that needs to be investigated. That is a Looney Tune cartoon death if I've ever fucking seen one in my life. Dropping a giant fucking boulder on someone? What the fuck? Under what circumstances are you able to do this? Like, I gotta see how that happened.
Oh yeah, indoors too, in a cabinet. It's not like it was like. Yeah,
well, I don't know if it happened there or if Jade's just seeing the vision of him there. At least I hope it didn't really happen there, because then we see him again later on, like on the steps of Colony House too, with his little violin sitting on the fucking rock.
Right.
So I have to imagine it happened elsewhere, and Jade's just seeing a vision of it. But
that really is a Looney Tune, then, like a Wile E. Coyote,
right? Dropping the fucking, the anvil from top of the cliff and landing on the fucking. That's what I picture. Like, how did this boulder thing work? But yeah, I'd like to see that. I would like to see that. But yeah, lots of world building this episode 4. Definitely about the environment of this town. Biggest theme of the episode. Yeah, again, a hugely world building episode. This episode by far. Definitely get some really good world building. And on top of that, speaking of, I know we talked a little bit about the diner. We talked a little bit about how Jim kind of reacts to Victor, talking to his kid. But then later on, it gets even more dire. We'll get back to the Jade thing in a minute, but we see that Victor comes back and literally sneaks Ethan out of the house. And again, definitely not doing a ton to help out with the creepy aspect for Victor, but after this scene, I feel like you do start to see Victor in a much different light, in a much more sympathetic light, when you start to learn just what this freaking poor kid has been through. But nonetheless, doesn't look good. I mean, his father just told you to stay away from him, and now here you are, like literally that same day, sneaking the kid out of his house. But if nothing else, if we wouldn't have got this scene, we wouldn't have gotten the introduction to the Farway tree. And again, very interesting. This episode just sets up tons of stuff that ends up being super prevalent throughout the rest of the series. We'll definitely get back to the Kotri Boyd thing too. And I thought this was interesting how when Victor walks up to this Farway tree, he says, "I haven't seen this one before." So it definitely gives you the indication very early on that there are multiple of these Farway trees. I think there might be 7 in total, 7 or 8. But here we get to see, like you said earlier, a crash course pretty much on what these Farway trees are and how they potentially work. Victor not only tells, well, that's right. First, we get the sighting of the boy in white. And again, it's almost like them following the boy in white is what led them to this new Farway tree in the first place. But here it is, one that Victor hasn't seen before, just as Tabitha and Jim find out that Ethan is gone. And again, we get this little experiment from Victor where he kind of draws a little mouth on a little smiley face on this rock, throws it into the Farway tree, and lo and behold, it kind of just drops right in front of them. And like I believe you said this earlier as well, we never see the faraway trees behave like this ever again. Like, I don't think we ever see anything even close to this ever again, where the faraway trees spit something out close by. It's always in a much different place over a vast distance. And part of me wondered in the beginning if that was just because this was an object and not a person. Like, do these faraway trees operate differently depending on what is put inside of them? Because again, at the end of season 4, we also see Sophia take the talismans and dump them into the faraway tree. Could this have been a foreshadowing for those talismans popping up somewhere? Like, are those talismans really, really going to be lost? Or could this right here have been some kind of foreshadowing for Sophia dumping those talismans into the faraway tree, thinking that they're gone, but them landing somewhere where they end up finding them at some point? I wonder the mechanism in which these faraway trees operate. Maybe it's different rules for different objects going inside of them.
Yeah, could be like maybe they'll reappear in the grotto where Boyd originally found them. It's kind of like resetting the board, kind of.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
maybe they won't. Maybe it's hard to say. Will they be in different places spread about but findable, or will they be all together? Yeah. But maybe not in the grotto in a different spot. I'm trying to think of an analogy. It still harkens back to like the old board games we used to play as kids. You know, stuff like Stratego or whatever, where there might be like a hidden, there's characters or there's like pieces all over the board, but or maybe even like Battleship, where the pieces are there somewhere, but you don't know exactly where they might be. Or like you'll see a piece, but it'll either be a blank or it might be a bomb, like in Stratego or something. Yeah, you never know. But the question is, are they going to explain that? Is that important enough? Right now, all we know is that the talismans are out of the townsfolk's hands, out of the players' hands, and they're gone. I wonder if they're going to even explore that, or they're dumping them down the faraway tree, having Sophia dump them down the faraway tree.
Are they gone forever?
Yeah, it's just indicative that they're out of play now, kind of.
Yeah, and I think it could easily, I think it could be easily either one, like 50-50. I wouldn't be surprised if they were just gone forever, no hope of recovering them. But then again, I also wouldn't be surprised if they did pop up somewhere. If we didn't get this scene right here, I definitely would probably be 100% in the side of, okay, we're never going to see those freaking talismans again. But since we did get this scene, I feel like we at least have context for rocks being thrown into the faraway tree and landing not too far away. So again, if we didn't see the scene, I would definitely 100% think, okay, we're never going to see them talismans again. But seeing this scene, I guess I wouldn't be surprised if we do see the talismans again. Maybe they're not completely gone. But they could be. They very well also could be just completely gone, and season 5 is going to be absolutely insane. With them having no protection. I would love that. I'm all for that.
I'm wondering though. Yeah, I mean that sparks in me the question of right now. Then it's going to be a ticking clock until sundown. Once the people realize they're not talisman protected anymore, other than that one on the door that we assume that Clara didn't gather up, in the door in the basement of Colony House. But yeah, that's the question of what's the time scale going to be for season 5? Are they going to do multiple episodes before sunset, or are they going to start? We're just going to have to figure out, or we're going to have to watch the characters realize that they're not talisman protected anymore and go back to whatever methods they hiding under a bush, as Donna said.
Hiding under a bush, yeah.
And maybe that'll be a shortcut to a big body count in episode 1 of season 5. Essentially that's another version of the Colony House Massacre. Yeah, a lot of these extras.
I would love to see just season 5, episode 1. There just be mayhem. The fallout of these talismans being gone, and get a decent body count right there in that very first episode, a mini massacre, if nothing else, like we got for Colony House, kind of similarly. Nothing too big, but something substantial at least.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And everything we've seen, everything we've seen with people interacting with the talismans, especially when they're in a groove, like when they're in a routine, they may not necessarily notice that the talisman's missing right up until it's time to put them up for the evening, when they go through the ritual of covering the windows and locking the doors and pulling the shades and everything else, and then you activate your talisman. Maybe people won't necessarily notice their absence right off the bat.
No, I could totally see that. Because again, I mean, is the talisman something that you're kind of guarding and looking at 24/7? No, and you have no reason to watch it all day. You have no reason to have it under guard or under lock and key or anything like that. You have no need to do something like that, because you would never expect your own to steal them like this.
Right.
So yeah, I could totally see that. Night falls and they don't realize that the talismans are gone until literally it's fucking dark. I would love for that to be the case. Because I think that would be realistic. I think that would be very, very realistic if they didn't realize until it got dark.
Yep.
Or even more so, it gets dark and, they don't realize until a monster literally opens one of their fucking doors. And then they realize, holy shit, there's no talisman here. Like, I would love to see it even go that far.
Right.
But
it'll be about 6 oh shit moments in different settings throughout the town. Oh, hey, shit.
Right.
Where? Oh shit. Right. Where's the? Yeah. It'll be in the diner and in the church or maybe like the colony house realizes, or somebody somewhere realizes, and then they run to the next house saying, hey, our talisman's gone. Where can I
and
stay
everyone
here?
just starts to realize at once, holy shit, we got no talismans left. We're fucked. And then you see Clara kind of just sitting there like, oh fuck, yeah, asshole. Yeah. Clara helped fucking Sophia steal the rest of them. But there has been a lot of questions as to whether or not every single talisman did get found. Like, did Clara know enough to take the one in the basement of Colony House that was on the new door that Jade and Boyd just found? Did she know enough to grab that one? What about the one that Jade and Tabitha had when they were in the caves, when they were down there digging up the bones? They had a talisman. So there are some questions heading into season 5 as to whether or not there might be 1 or 2 of these things still maybe lying around somewhere.
I mean, and that's definitely, I mean, we're just talking about the massacre. How are you going to get a whole bunch of people out into the open, after dark, or where the monsters can get them? I mean, if you've got, a dozen or 2 dozen people realizing that they're not talisman protected anymore, running around from house to house trying to figure out, if anybody does have a talisman, it would be a short putt to guess that they might get caught out in the open. So we might get another replay of the 78 massacre in the first part of season 5. Mm-hmm. It should be interesting.
I mean, there's a lot of interesting ways that they could go with it. That's for sure. But just thinking back to the Jade thing, it's Indiana Jade from Raiders of the Lost Ark. Maybe that is it. Whoever dropped the boulder on Jade didn't like him very much. It could have been a catapult, as Xavier says. Maybe it could have been any one of these things potentially.
And they always say
it was Bill to check the whole story. That would be interesting. Getting let's get Brendan Rivers on the case. He'll straighten stuff for us.
Yeah, they say, they always said, they established that it's the townsfolk that do it to Jade. So I mean, if you're going to execute, if you're going to scapegoat Jade and Tabitha for whatever misfortunes are befalling the town or your group at any given time, I mean, none of those guys got out lightly. Even the Boulder guy, both of his eyes were bleeding too. The one guy,
his ears, he was fucked.
The other guy had a straight up railroad spike in his eye, so it wasn't like they were just
Christopher had his throat slashed.
Yeah, so it's not a gentle. I mean, whatever a gentle execution is, this isn't that.
It ain't that. It ain't that. Yeah, whatever a quick, clean death is, this is not that. Indeed, it's a bloody one. But yeah, we shall see. Yeah, it's crazy how Victor had to move all those cars. It is. I mean, he says we hear the actor talking about it in one of the behind the scenes features. He said Victor was probably around 10 years old back then, and he's moving all these cars himself. Pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. A lot of the stuff that Victor's probably had to do over the years has been, is probably impressive, to be honest. The fact that he's even survived this long alone is impressive. I wonder if they go right back to where Boyd found them. And you mentioned that earlier as well, I believe, Ravener. And that's what's interesting about this. Again, we see this scene here where Victor kind of drops this rock into this faraway tree, and we see it kind of land relatively close by. Again, if nothing else, it at least has to make you wonder if this is a potential possibility for the talismans. Will they potentially land somewhere where that maybe they could get found again? But I do agree with whoever else said it in the chat earlier that if the talismans do kind of pop out somewhere, it's going to be spread out. I can't imagine seeing them all just land in the same spot. Although they could. I mean, that's also possible as well. I guess it could go either way. But we'll take a look at Victor's little experiment here, shall we?
What's supposed to happen?
Well, could be nothing, or it could be.
Boom! Could be nothing, or could be. Victor having that dialogue gives you the indication that he's done this more than once. He's probably experimented with these things more than once, with rocks and other objects.
Could be nothing, or it could be.
Boom. It's almost like he was expecting it to land there. So I have to imagine that this is something Victor has done probably quite a lot. Throwing rocks into these things, other objects, and seeing, just where exactly they will come out of.
Oh yeah, with long periods of loneliness, you do almost anything just to keep yourself occupied. Especially when something's magical, you can't. I couldn't resist the temptation.
No, I mean, I would be tossing everything I could fucking find. Anything that wasn't useful, anything that I didn't need to survive, I'd be throwing tons of shit into these fucking things and seeing where it pops out of.
Oh yeah.
But I guess one question I would have for you guys in the chat, and for you as well, Ravener, if you were stuck in Fromville and you came across a faraway tree and you knew what it was,
okay,
would you ever step in it?
No, I'd be if I knew what it was. I mean, like knowing what I know in the show, or just knowing of its name. Definitely not. Because
I only ask that because I wonder if I'm Victor. I mean, it's one thing when there's a bunch of people here, but if I'm Victor and I'm alone here for so long, I wonder at any point, like Victor must have experimented with these faraway trees tons of times, and I think we have evidence of that in the Peach Truck map. You look at the back of the Peach Truck map and you see, drawings of a lot of faraway trees with purple arrows going from one location to another, often connecting these trees to a different location. It almost seemed like Victor was trying to map out faraway trees and where things went, probably by dumping objects in them. So I guess if I'm Victor and I'm alone for this long and I'm experimenting with these things, do I ever consider stepping in it myself?
Just try to use it like a fast travel from somewhere. No, man.
Get you home.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine how desperate being here alone for 40, almost 50 plus years, because Victor was around here for what, like 42 years, I believe it was, by himself, a little more than that. And I can only imagine what that would do to someone, for one. But, even if it was the smallest chance that this tree could take you home, for me, at the very least, it would be something I would consider.
I'd be too afraid, especially if you're doing like
you're in the long run, but I would consider it at least.
Because I would use it more probably like a dump, like you throw your empty peach cans or something in there. You don't know where they're going, but they're not around anymore. And just this experiment itself, I mean, best case scenario, you end up 20 feet away, but you're also being dropped from 20 feet in the air.
Oof. That ain't fun. That ain't fun. I wonder if Victor was ever tempted to step in one.
Yeah, I'd be afraid of them. It seems like the only time that they're not dangerous is when the boy in white ushers you into them. Yep. So it's almost like he's the conductor.
Exactly. Exactly. Every single instance that we have on the show of a faraway tree being used successfully, the boy in white was directly involved in every single one. The only time he wasn't was Dale, and we saw what happened to frickin' Dale. He's fooged. He's foobarred. Absolutely.
So honestly, I would understand that it's of some kind of a magical nature, but I'd be too afraid to, something about, I mean,
too scary.
Yeah. I mean, there's a curiosity, and maybe I would wonder what would happen
There's
if I would go
curiosity
inside.
and there's stupidity.
But yeah, I mean, it's like I also wonder what life after death will be, but I'm not going to kill myself to find
I don't
out.
want to rush there. Yeah. Yeah. Good point. But yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll see in season 5 if this was potentially some kind of foreshadowing for Sophia dumping these talismans into the faraway tree and then potentially popping up somewhere else. Was what we saw here in this episode, giving us foreshadowing of that.
Yeah, and Sophia's smugness kind of indicated that she did not expect the talismans to drop 20 feet behind her. Yeah.
Very true. Very true. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they are gone forever. I wouldn't be surprised. But I also wouldn't be surprised if they pop up after seeing this scene. But we shall see. Again, this is a regular old rock, and those were magical talismans too. So maybe there's a bit of a difference there too.
The boy in white didn't do anything to stop her from dumping him. I mean, he knew what she had, and he didn't. So maybe that's part of not. I mean, it's like against the rules of the game that they play, that they can't actually impact each other in that kind of way. And she did seem like an older sister, kind of just egging on her younger brother.
Like,
I'm beating you again, twerp. I beat you again.
I'm gonna win again.
Four.
They have the bones, but the tree's gone, asshole. Yeah. Again, you definitely get the sense. I feel like that is very much confirmed at this point that the Man in Yellow has been winning all of these cycles. It has been Man in Yellow, who knows how many to 0 of Boy in White, Jade, and Tabitha. They have not won a cycle yet. But we shall see. We shall see. Oh, and this is an interesting question as well, as Just Lurking brings up. Do you think maybe Clara saved one for herself? Very interesting question. I suppose it would come down to like how much of Clara's morality is really still left there. I have to imagine Clara knows that by taking all of these talismans, like she must know that she is dooming so many people to death. But she's willing to do that because this is going to get her home. We see how selfish Clara really is, and how afraid Clara really is. She's not really a good person. But could there be some bit of kind of humanity still inside of her where she, on some level feels bad for what she's doing, so she kept one of them aside? I don't know. That is a very good question, Just Lurking. I don't know. I guess it's a question of how much of Clara's humanity is left. Or is she just full on in it for herself at this point?
That would be stone cold too, because if she did keep one, maybe she won't even save. She wouldn't secure all of Colony House. Maybe she'll just go up in Donna's room or
cabin by herself. Yeah,
go up in the Golem room, her and the Golem, and just lock that door and
chill. Yeah,
wait out the night.
Yeah, maybe. And that's the thing. If she saved one for herself, it might literally just be for herself. I mean, or could we see her save one for herself and reveal it to the town, I guess is the question. I don't know. I think it matters how much how much of the guilt is Clara feeling when she was going to steal all these talismans? Like, again, she had to know that she's dooming people to death. How much did that weigh on her? Did it weigh on her enough to maybe keep one aside?
Yeah, and I don't know that she's that. I mean, I don't know that she's that clever, because if she did keep one for herself and then pops up, hey, all the other talismans are gone. But hey, guess what, guys? I have one right here in my pocket.
Totally,
she'll have some explaining to do. Yeah.
Oh, I happened to just find this one. I guess she must have missed one. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fuck you, Clara. And Ram says, I assume Clara followed orders. She was in too deep. And that's a very real possibility. It very well could be possible that she just stole every freaking talisman and gave every single one to Sophia and didn't keep any for herself. That's definitely, I feel like that's might even be more likely, really, because Clara does seem, if you're far gone enough to steal the talismans in the first place, knowing it's going to lead to massive death, then yeah, at that point you're kind of fucking already far gone.
Yeah, she's sufficiently scared of Sophia that she probably would. I mean, it might cross her mind, but she would definitely, she would not want to disobey. And it feels like Sophia feels like her hooks in Sarah are her intimidation and control over Clara are sufficient that she can leave her to figure out on her own how to get rid of Elgin's body in a way that it's not going to be discovered. Because if he gets discovered right away, Sophia's not going to be delighted with with Clara at all. If you're on corpse disposal duty and you just drag it out the back door and leave it, that's not a job well done. So it seems like Sophia trusts enough in her intimidation of Clara that Clara will do everything she can, to the utmost. It seems.
Yeah, I think so. Like you said, even if Clara has some kind of feelings inside of her where she does feel bad, the feeling of fear that she feels for Sophia is going to be too strong. It's going to far outweigh any feelings of remorse she might be feeling. Yeah, she's just too afraid. Way too afraid of Sophia at this point to disobey her. I 100% agree with you guys.
And being put on corpse disposal duty of Elgin immediately afterward, that's just going to reinforce, to a cowardly Clara that she doesn't want to end up that way. And she sees what happens when you don't, when you displease Sophia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's not hypothetical anymore. You're dragging a dead body out the back.
It does. Yeah. And part of tearing each other apart seems fitting to have a couple talismans left, because who gets them? And you actually bring up a very good point. LA World. That's actually a really good point, because I mean, wouldn't it add a little bit more tension to it, a little bit more chance for conflict, where if there is only one or two talismans left, how are people going to, again, does everyone just live in Colony House and they're all happily ever after? Maybe, yeah, I suppose. Or, we know how these people act. We know how, not just these people in Fromville. I mean, yes, they're particularly scared. So when humans are this afraid, they tend to make even more foolish decisions. But just human nature in general, sometimes, when people get scared, they do fucking fucked up shit. So even though they could kind of all live in Colony House just with one talisman, I don't know how long that would be sustainable. Again, with the walls closing in on them, knowing that all the talismans are gone, knowing that this place is getting more and more dangerous. The Farway tree got pulled up. We got red fucking lightning in the sky. We got day turning into fucking night. Things are getting way crazier here now. And again, I could totally see the people starting to slowly turn on each other one-on-one. And what better thing to fight over than the one thing that can keep you safe?
I wonder, do you think that, I mean, that would be, it'd certainly be an interesting story arc or a direction to go. I wonder if they have time to introduce it like that.
That's one thing I was going to ask you and the chat as well. I feel like they've been hyping this up for a while, that the town is going to turn on each other, that the town's going to turn on Boyd, that there's going to be this kind of rift within the town. Heading into the 5th season, do we even have time for that anymore?
I know. They put the menacing Sophia in as kind of like a slow burn, and I think that was one of the criticisms of season 4, is that the slow burn was pretty slow, and they should have introduced her even prior to season 4. If you're gonna have a slow burn character, like gradually working like on people's minds and sowing dissent and division, or create just by your presence creating chaos and stuff. I don't know. how much the thing is, if they were to introduce, that rift, or the town tearing itself apart, and getting to the point where the town is trying to kill Jade, just like in the previous cycles, and even, and Tabitha gets it even worse, those parts of it, they've got a lot of story that absolutely still need to be told, plus all the stuff that should be told, like we talked about, like the past historical stuff that needs to be expounded on, and kind of put to bed, to explain to us, once and for all, to just tell a complete story. I hope, maybe they can, maybe that will be the crux of season 5, is that that rift on Fast Forward, that rift between the town, and maybe the absent talismans are going to be integral to that part. But so I think what the comment was correct. It absolutely could be part of that, and that maybe that will be all of it. Maybe that will be season 5 on Fast Forward. Like, even if Clara has one, and then there's a one in the basement, or the one in the basement is the only one, and they, once they realize that the other talismans are gone, they're like, oh shit, yeah, we do have that one extra one. Is there going to be a consequence for having that door not secured with a talisman? That's another good question.
Yeah. And as Just Lurking also, kind of adds to it, even if one does kind of get left behind and they do start using it, what's to say Sophia or the Man in Yellow isn't going to come and fucking snag that one too? So yeah, these talismans might just be a non-issue in season 5. That is very much a possibility that they don't come back at all. They are lost to time and space, potentially. I don't know. Let's see. But what do you guys? Let's know what you guys think in the chat. What are you guys saying? Maybe it depends on your mind state can affect where you go in the tree. I feel like there's got to be some kind of method, right? I mean, is it solely that the boy in white is just kind of guiding some of these faraway tree kind of trips? Because again, we see the boy in white involved in every single instance a faraway tree is used, other than Dale's. But is there a way to traverse them and to navigate them without the boy in white, without any help? Like, is there actually some kind of method to the madness? Is there some kind of way where you can control your destination? I don't know, Ty. Again, I feel like, we saw in season 2 that Tabitha seemed to 100% go to the lighthouse when she went to the main bottle tree. But now we see that that's not the case. When she asked the boy in white again, if I hop into the tree, will I take me to the tower again? Boy in white says, I don't think so. So something has clearly changed with the faraway trees, or with the boy in white's control over the faraway trees. And maybe that has something to do with the boy in white himself changing. He's changing for the first time ever, where he's growing older and maybe he's getting weaker. He doesn't have the same power over the trees he used to, maybe. So yeah, again, I feel like there's still so many questions in terms of like what these trees really are. What is going to be their full function, their real purpose on the show? Are they ultimately going to be the exit out of Fromville? Is this the exit that they're all going to have to leave out of after they do complete the quest? Will these faraway trees take them home, or take them to what I believe is a faraway tree in the park that Miranda made one in the real world? We know that Miranda added a bunch of bottles to a very specific tree in a park in the real world. And I wouldn't be surprised if we find out that tree is a faraway tree. It's the one faraway tree that leads to the real world, where the other 6 are in Fromville, and that the trees are ultimately going to be the exit once they finally save the children. That's why these trees were created, for an exit. But I don't know. Again, there's so much about these freaking trees we don't know. But are the talismans gone? Are they going to come back? Again, I feel like that's 50-50. Maybe we'll get some talismans, maybe not. Maybe they really are just freaking gone. Freaking gone. I think it would be more interesting if they were just gone. Again, it adds that element of danger, of, that sense of urgency to the season, where all of a sudden now the stakes are super freaking high. And that's one thing I've wanted to see on the show. I was hoping we were going to see it in season 4, where the stakes were going to get really, really, really high. But it didn't really happen too much, not to the extent that I thought it was going to happen in season 4. So I have to imagine season 5 is going to be that season where we're going to see the stakes raised right from the very beginning, and having the talismans really be gone definitely does that.
Yeah. I think that one of the big takeaways of season 4 was introducing the totems and the attempt to try to kill. I mean, for seasons we had been clamoring.
Oops. Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna let that seem. Yeah, I mean, for seasons we had been clamoring for them to go on the offensive against the monsters, and finally they had something that they thought would work, and then we found out that it didn't. So yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah. And again, that's the thing. Boyd was going through this whole thing. You're like, oh man, we had one win. We had that one win. And Smiley brings his ass back. No win. But yeah, we also get this really good scene between Father Cautry and Boyd here, as Boyd is rebuilding the box. And again, sometimes, and I know we've talked about it numerous times here on the channel, but for me, sometimes, certain actors just have good chemistry on screen, and they can just really chew up scenes really well. And every time I see Cautry and Boyd in a scene together, I'm like, okay, this is going to be a good fucking scene. This is going to be a well-acted scene. But before we watch it, I also want to say a thank you to Anna. Wow, thank you so much, Anna, for the 700 jewels. Holy cow. And the island. Thank you so much, Anna. Very, very much appreciate you for the 700 freaking jewels. If you have anything that you want us to dive into as well, please let us know in the chat, and we will definitely dive into it stat.
That island was the steel was on the island and the cat was in a floaty
yeah. Thank you so much, Anna, for the jewels. Very, very much appreciate you. Wow, thank you. All right, here we go. Let's take a little bit of a look at Boyd and Father Cautry.
Conversation.
Okay. In that case, if you need to say shitty things to me in order to feel better about what happened, fine.
I'm not having this conversation.
Okay. In that case, you're getting a sermon. Look, what happened to Lauren and Megan? What?
And again, this is what I love about Cautry. He's just always so just bluntly honest with Boyd and tells him exactly, what he thinks, and sometimes what Boyd needs to hear. And I think the kind of character that Boyd doesn't have anybody else around him that can talk to him like this, that can give him this kind of perspective. And I wouldn't be too surprised if this was maybe a kind of dynamic he had with Abby, with his wife. If maybe Abby was the only person on Earth that was actually honest with Boyd. I wouldn't be surprised if they had that kind of dynamic, and that when she was gone, Boyd didn't really have anyone to just kind of shoot him straight and just tell him the straight up freaking truth. And that's why I love the dynamic between Cautry and Boyd. I feel like Cautry, he is that. He has no problem just telling Boyd exactly how it is, very bluntly, even if it doesn't sound like it's coming from, a man of the cloth, which half the time it doesn't, coming from Cautry's fucking ass. But I just love the dynamic there. Sometimes Cautry hits him pretty hard in the chest, but sometimes Boyd needs it.
Yeah. And yeah, their scenes are always so strong.
Yeah, incredibly strong. Sometimes you just get two actors on screen and they just know how to work together well.
Look, what happened to Lauren and Megan wasn't your fault. Frank putting himself in this box wasn't your fault. None of this is really about them, is it, Boyd?
Oof.
You're gonna want to be very, very careful about what you say next.
Or what? You can't keep punishing yourself, Boyd.
Oof. Now we know what this is about, of course, and this is the underlying theme with Boyd right from the very beginning of the season. As soon as he saw what happened to the Pratt family, as soon as he saw what Frank allowed to have happen,
Got a line. You hear me? Where the fuck got a line?
Before you got here, I was burying more people in a week than you'd seen die in the last 2 years. But you were the one who found the talismans. You created order from chaos. You made it possible for people here to live again, not just survive.
I thought he just paused it. Yeah, I see it. The rotating circle. Yeah, we'll just sit tight for a second. Yeah, the question about what jewels are. I think it's only the mobile app too, because I don't have access to those on PC. So, but yeah, it looks like a pool of instead of doing individual super chats for dollar amount, you'll buy like a pool of jewels and then send them bit by bit all in one. And Jeremy's back. And what do we got?
I don't know. I guess we just needed a bit of a refresh. Oh man, gotta love it. Got to love it. But yeah, we are back. Let me pull this back up. There we go. Sorry for the technical difficulties, fellas and ladies. That's the first time that's never happened midstream. Usually if the stream kind of messes up, it happens at the beginning. Kind of in the middle of that was hey, but what are you gonna do? StreamYard is StreamYard.
right, yeah. StreamYard. It's very capricious. Yeah, StreamYard will do what it wants to do.
Oh yeah,
especially when sharing video and stuff. I've seen it on other channels as well. It'll decide, and sometimes it'll decide that it'll kick your co-host. Sometimes.
Yeah, we've had that happen.
You're not needed. How'd you go? Like,
you're not needed. Boat. I love it. Got to love it. But yeah, we are back. We are back. Yeah. Man in Yellow. Yeah, Man in Yellow got the stream. Man in Yellow got the stream. He did. He got us. He got me. I managed to fight my way out. I'm back now. I am back now. And again, thank you again for the 10 jewels. Very, 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 very much appreciated, my friend. You guys have been super generous tonight. I definitely owe you a whoa as well. Whoa! Hell yes. Hell yes. All right. Random question. Anyone have experience with classic cars? I'm replacing my carburetor with an EFI fuel injector system for my 85 Trans Am. I am myself not, unfortunately. I am not a mechanic. I know a little bit, but definitely nothing to that extent. Sorry. But if anybody does, like Guns N' Roses, no. No. All right. Let's see what else we got. In my opinion, chill, Man in Yellow, go play with your rocks. Yeah, I mean, hey, I got him off me. Got him off my back. It was Clara. Clara was the one who really did it. She stole our internet. Well, stole our fucking internet. Yeah, knowledge comes at an internet cost. It does, Random Traveler. Knowledge comes at an internet cost. You gotta be careful. You gotta be fucking careful. That's a good idea as well. Yeah, maybe asking in the Discord as well. There's a lot of people in the Discord. I'm so so awesome to see what that Discord has turned into. Tons of people in there. Yeah, it's definitely worth a shot at least. Worth a shot. But yeah, Cautry and Boyd. Anytime they have a scene together, it's always going to be good. It's always going to be poignant, and that it's always going to kind of give Boyd a perspective, or at least a point of view on something that maybe he didn't want to look at in that point of view. And I think Cautry offers him that kind of raw, real look at what's going on in Fromville on the ground, instead of that idealized look that maybe he wants to see.
Yeah. And I think this is also building up the kind of it kind of emphasizes the relationship that Cautry and Boyd have, where they will tell each other things that they don't want to hear. Because when earlier in the episode, when Boyd was dropping off the remains of Frank, and Cautry asked Boyd if he was going to stick around for the service, Boyd kind of challenges Cautry too with some information like, are you going to mention that you're the one that wanted him in the box?
Yeah. You gotta mention that tidbit.
And again, Cautry and Cautry said, does that make you feel, did you feel good saying that, or did that make you feel better, or something like that? And we hear that again when with Randall and Jim, where I think Randall says something really harsh, and Jim's like, do you feel better now saying that or whatever?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. You feel better saying that now? Yep. Yeah. Yeah. We see that theme play out, Jim and Kotri. You know?
Yep.
Anyone find Kotri and the pastor that came into the town similar somehow? I just feel like we didn't really get enough to really know the pastor that kind of came into town. You know, I mean, he's a pastor that came in here alone, in the sense where maybe Kotri did as well, and maybe even guided into here by some kind of voice, as Kotri claims to be. Maybe the other pastor was as well. So no, I can definitely see some similarities. But in terms of like their, you know, their personality traits, we just didn't really get enough of the pastor to see the, you know, the kind of person he was. But I wouldn't be surprised if he and Kotri had some overlaps.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he was really, that was just an expedient character to get Sophia in the town. Yeah, they didn't tell us anything at all about what drove him there, or what was his journey of life change, you know.
That's a good point. I mean, they don't dive into him literally at all. Like he's literally just a plot device to deliver Sophia into the show. That's his only purpose.
They got that truck that can pull down a Farway tree, but they can't pull the pastor's truck out of the side of the sheriff's office.
Yeah, true. But yeah, good stuff. Did we pass the scene with the dogs? No, the dogs are popping up right now, actually. I believe it's right after this. Let's see. Let's go right here. Yeah, here we are. Next scene of Victor and Ethan in the woods. And then I do believe that this is when Jim and Tabitha discover. Again, we see the faraway tree experiment that we looked at earlier. But then we see that the dogs do show up. And this is a very interesting scene because, again, not only do the dogs show up, but like we were talking about at the beginning of the stream, this is actually the first scene. This is actually the episode where Victor first remembers the massacre of 1978. Again, he hears this dog barking, and all of a sudden it starts bringing back these memories for him. And then he runs right back to Colony House to try and confirm if those memories are actually real or not. And lo and behold, he finds out that they are, as he starts finding the drawing of the massacre itself. So even at a super, beginning point in Victor's storyline, he was already remembering kind of massive things. Things were already triggering memories for him, returning, like a dog barking, or like seeing Eloise's drawing and stuff like that. He has these moments where these things get triggered all the way back into season 1.
Jim.
And here comes Victor, saving the day again. With his fucking gun.
Oh my god. Yep. Another great impression Victor's making on Jim.
Yep. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. But yeah, we see the dogs. And again, the dogs have played so many different roles here on the show, you know, from the very beginning to, you know, even up until now still, where they've helped certain characters. Mostly they're helping Boyd. I mean, we see the dogs helping Boyd twice, actually. Not only kind of helping him get back to town, but also leading him back to town from the place where he found the talismans, or leading him to the talismans in a sense. So these dogs have been known to help some of these characters at times. But yeah, here we see these dogs show up and just instantly start barking at the Matthews family right away. And a lot of people have wondered what that means. Still interesting, though.
Yep. You think we'll get any explanation?
I mean, when it comes to the dogs, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if the dogs are one of those things that they maybe leave just a little bit ambiguous. I wouldn't be that surprised. I mean, I don't know. I guess heading into season 5, finding out what the dogs are, yeah, I'd like to know, but it's definitely not on my top 10 list.
Yeah, they'll have to work it into like another scene that's important or something.
Yeah, part of a bigger overall reveal, maybe. Yeah, I could see that. But yeah, and again, the dogs 100% trigger Victor's memory. 100%. Victor hears the barking of the dogs, and it starts bringing back these memories for him. He starts having remembering the massacre, and here we see that.
So now what do we do?
No.
He's hearing the barking, and now he's remembering.
No.
Holy shit.
What's wrong?
Holy shit.
Don't you hear that?
He's remembering the massacre.
No.
We gotta go. Come on.
And very much seem to be triggered by the dog's barking, which makes total perfect sense, just like in terms of how trauma works in the brain, in the human brain, where sounds, smells, sights, little things like this are often triggers for trauma. You hear something that reminds you of something that is trauma based that you associate sound with or smell with or something like that. And that's what we're seeing here with Victor. He's having this memory be dredged up of this massacre because he's hearing this dog bark. And maybe the last time he heard the dog bark, or when he hears that dog bark, his mind instantly goes to this place. The dog barking is tied to this event, in a sense. So yeah, and again, we've seen Victor continue that theme throughout the entire show, where little things trigger these memories. So yeah, dog barks, Victor remembers massacre, and then Victor races home to Colony House to confirm whether or not this was a dream or an actual memory. And again, lo and behold, when he gets to Colony House, he finds the drawing and knows this is real. Man, poor Victor. Poor Victor. Just been going through it. Victor has been going through it.
Yeah. And Jim not at all delighted to see. I just can't get it. I mean, even at the time it was weird. It's like, hey, there's this middle-aged guy bringing a little kid into the woods.
Yeah.
It's like I can't fault Jim, I think Jim took Drew ire because of the man bun, which just made him an easy target.
The man bun did not help his cause. The man bun 100% did not help Jim's cause in the freaking way. You're going to be at a disadvantage every time.
The court of public opinion is very judgmental.
It is. It's a tough. It's a tough one.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Ethan, come! Hi, come on! Who's that guy?
Who's that guy?
Who's that guy?
Let me see. Oh my god! Oh my god!
I warned you. I warned you.
Who's that guy?
Fucking.
Why are you with him? Are you okay? Let me see. Oh my god! Oh my god! Ethan, come! Hi, come on! Who's that guy?
Who's that guy?
Are you okay? Let me see.
Oh my god! Shit.
Oh my god!
I warned you.
Is your leg okay?
I warned you. Please? I fucking warned you.
I'm not a bad person. I would never hurt anyone.
Poor Victor.
Dad, leave him alone.
Jim he has a gun.
Sorry.
Jim, let's.
Oh man. Oh shit. Yeah, again, Victor comes off a little creepy in the beginning, yes, but knowing what we know about Victor now, knowing the character he evolves into, and the innocent kid he really kind of still is, stuck in this adult body. Just looking back in hindsight, yeah, I feel bad for Victor. He might have been creepy in the beginning when we didn't really know who he was, but now that we do, it's like, oh man, poor Vic, poor Vic. Just trying to save people, remembering massacres and shit. He has no idea how to handle this shit. Who is that guy? Who is that guy? Fucking Tabitha. Tabitha is always a fucking trip, man. She's always a trip.
Are you okay? Let me see. Oh my god. Oh my god.
I warned.
Ethan, come. Hi, come on. Who's that guy?
Who's that guy?
Are you okay?
That's nobody. That's just your previous
Oh my God.
reincarnation son. Technically your fucking son, actually. That's who that is. Right. Yeah, it's your oldest son, Tabitha. It is. I miss Jim and Victor. I do miss Jim. I really do. Again, I was saying this at the beginning of the stream as well. Like I do. I felt Jim's absence throughout watching season 4. I don't know why. Something about seeing Tabitha on screen, Ethan on screen, without Jim. It just it felt weird. I definitely felt Jim's absence in season 4. I gotta say I missed it.
But his death did make for a shocking.
It was necessary.
Cliffhanger ending, yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was necessary. Good cliffhanger ending, but also a good introduction to what is going to be your main villain on the show. And anytime you're introducing a main villain late in the game, which they did, even if the man in yellow was the voice on the other end of the radio, even if his hand kind of his influence has been felt throughout the show from the very beginning, you're still introducing your villain in a very late in the game. So when you do that, he's got to have an entrance. He's got to have a memorable entrance that establishes to the audience right away the level of threat that you're actually dealing with from this villain. And that's why I think a lot of us really loved the introduction of the Man in Yellow. First time we see him, he's ripping out Jim's throat, one of our main characters. And that told me, okay, this guy's serious. He means business. And again, I think that also leads into why season 4 was a little bit of a disappointment, just for me personally, where we didn't get to see that continued. We got to see the Man in Yellow turn into Sophia in this undercover storyline, which at times was fun, but more often than not started to feel repetitive. So I think that was the kind of a little bit of the letdown for season 4, just for me in a small sense, where I just I was really looking forward to more Man in Yellow. They set this character up, they introduced this character in the perfect way, and I just don't feel that they capitalized on that.
Oh yeah, and even the Sophia storyline itself was and we'd already mentioned it even just in this show. It's too much of a slow burn to introduce in season 4. Now, if Man in Yellow, in his introduction, he's automatically elevated to like a top tier threat, and he was if he was just like a shapeshifter, like a doppelganger, and then every interaction, every character pairing, we can never trust that it was the actual person and not the Man in Yellow saying something, then it would be super cool. Now we got a little bit of that when Sophia was trying to influence Henry, a little bit of that, but it would have been that. I mean, again, you have to deal with the story that you're given, but I think an interesting branch would have been if the Man in Yellow was shape-shifting as different characters, so you could never trust what two characters were talking about, because you never know if one or the other of them was the bad one. Kind of like what they did with Mystique in X-Men. You'd see characters talk, and then at the end, just for our benefit only, her eyes would flash yellow, and it's like, oh, it wasn't that, it wasn't the person that we thought it was at any point. So, but again, that's what we got. We got the story we got. You got it, and you'll like it.
And I do like it, but when it comes to From anyway, like I really do like the story for the most part. I love the characters, I love the world, I love the setting. I love the horror elements of it, the supernatural elements of it. Even if season 4 wasn't my favorite season, which it wasn't, I didn't really enjoy a lot of the storylines. I am at the very least hoping that in season 5 they can do some of those things that I was hoping to see in season 4, like capitalizing on your main villain a little bit more and utilizing the Man in Yellow a lot more than you're utilizing Sophia. Season 4 very much felt like Sophia's season. I really hope season 5 feels like the Man in Yellow's season. That's what I'm hoping for in this final season. That I think would make up. I think that would at least make or paint season 4 in a more favorable light for maybe some of us that didn't really enjoy the longevity of the Sophia storyline. If we get to season 5 and we realize, okay, that's kind of how it was set up, where season 4 was Sophia's kind of villain arc, and season 5 is the Man in Yellow's villain arc. I think that would just maybe make a little bit more sense. But I don't know. That's just one of my hopes heading into the 5th and final season, that they capitalize on this very interesting and unique and scary and menacing villain that they set up in the end of season 3.
Yeah. Maybe and they kind of threw the gloves off towards the end of season 4, where with the discussion that Sophia had with Clara, she's like, I'm playing so many games, but some of them need a little push. Maybe she'll stop being the innocent babe in the woods kind of naive, character, and maybe we'll see more of Doug. Maybe she'll turn into Doug form and just at some point in there. Yeah. Because she's already done what she needs to do by securing the talismans. Maybe that'll be the end of the Sophia arc.
That's what I'm wondering. I'm like, is the Sophia undercover storyline going to continue? I mean, the last thing we saw, she killed Elgin, and she did tell Clara to go hide the body. That does indicate that she plans on returning, I think. I mean, if you're going out of your way to have someone hide this body, then you don't want to be discovered yet. I don't know. I guess it'll be interesting to see. Like, are we going to see Sophia be part of the town at the beginning of season 5 and get discovered? Maybe. I have a feeling that's probably more along the lines of what we'll actually get. Is there also a possibility that the Man in Yellow is just done with the Sophia persona altogether now that the talismans are gone? Again, if she wouldn't have asked Clara to hide that body, I think I would have thought, okay, she's probably just done. The Man in Yellow is probably just done with the Sophia kind of persona. But seeing as it wants Clara to hide that body, that indicates that it doesn't want to get caught yet, doesn't want to get discovered yet. But who knows? Tabitha asked, who's that guy? Like they're in Walmart parking lot. She did. She definitely did. She did. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. Victor and Jade were the MVP of season 1 to me. I'm tired of boy plot armor. Ooh, interesting. Again, from just like any show, I mean, literally every show that has a danger element to it, that has an element to it where your characters can get killed off, every single one of those type shows has some degree of plot armor. They just all do, unfortunately. Some more than others, of course. I mean, some plot armor is very, very thick and very, very noticeable, and others is a little bit more subtle. And I feel like From has a good mix of both. At times, I can understand people calling out a little bit of plot armor for certain characters. But then again, at times, we also see characters get absolutely brutally murdered at the same time. So I feel like From's got a good mix of both, a healthy mix of both.
Yeah. And it's hard to, well, at least initially it was hard to guess, because, I mean, I would have thought that Khatri was going to have a level of plot armor, and his went away very, in a very splashy way.
Mm-hmm. Very fast. Very fast. Khatri lost that plot armor super quick. And that was a bit surprising. I did think that Khatri, Boyd, and Sarah were going to be, a nucleus in terms of, trying to solve this place and get answers. I really thought it was going to be them 3. But alas, it was not. It was not. Let's see what else we got. Victor was giving us. Oh man, poor Victor. Victor catching strays. Victor catching strays in the chat.
Yeah, Tayozo mentions Randall with some plot armor. I'm wondering about the. Yeah, I was wondering about the Randall.
Kenny. Kenny
Oh
had
yeah,
some
Kenny
plot
definitely.
armor in season 4, not getting killed by Smiley in episode 7, which
Yeah,
I think would have just made that freaking episode so much better if he would have died heroically.
yeah. I still wonder. Like, I mean, is Randall's arc done? Because I mean, once he had that argument with Julie, you know, he was essentially sidelined until, you know, till the very end, where he was just sitting on the porch. Well, he was needed for the, you know, for the away mission,
Yeah.
but he didn't do a whole lot after the argument with Julie, and when he said what he needed to say, kind of like discouraging her from story walking again.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I guess it'll be interesting to see what they do with Randall. I mean, because I think Randall is one of the characters that kind of languished a little bit in season 4 by not getting a proper story arc, just like Bacta did. You know, some of these characters just got next to no screen time, no development, no storylines whatsoever. Randall's at least started off pretty decent with him kind of helping Julie, but right around midway through season 4, that kind of fizzled off, and next thing you know, we didn't see Randall at all, at all. Randall had one line in the finale, and that was looking up at the lightning, saying, "What the fuck did you guys do?" That was
Right.
literally his only line of dialogue in the entire finale. So again, I don't like to keep kind of circling back to it, so I won't say it again after this. But yeah, I do think at times From just has too many characters. Got to kill some of these characters off and start focusing on, you know, your core nucleus that you actually need to tell the story.
Yeah. That's why I'm leaning more and more that there's going to be a big and
Calling of the herd.
yeah, yeah, essentially a Colony House Massacre 2.0,
Something like that.
where all the extras are gone.
I mean, again, you got, you know, Kenny counted 47 people inside Fromville. And that was, of course, before they found out about Jim's death. Since then, you got you have Jim die, you have NPC Roger die, and you have Marielle die. So that's what, 44 people. So yeah, again, that's a lot of fucking people. It's a lot of people to try and get out of this place, try and escape this place with. I have to imagine there's going to be some kind of culling of the herd where some decent portion of the extras and maybe even some secondary characters get the axe. You got to start killing off some characters. There are too many characters for heading into this 5th and final season. There's just too many.
Oh yeah, Mita XOXOX says she forgot about Acosta too.
Acosta kind of, they started off, and this is what they kind of do sometimes, where they'll start off by giving a character at the beginning of a storyline, and they won't kind of continue it towards the end of the season. And I think that was kind of similar with Acosta in season 4, where Boyd gives her this task to try and uncover, you know, something about this man in yellow, and it doesn't really go anywhere. And same thing with the door that Jade and Boyd find. Jade finds this door down in the basement of Colony House that is hidden, like legit bricked up, hidden behind a freaking wall. You know, hugely kind of foreboding kind of freaking door. And next thing we know, it goes nowhere. They throw a talisman on it and they never return to it again. So sometimes it can get a little frustrating when they set up these smaller storylines within a season and they don't pay them off properly. But again, you know, it's not something they do too often, but happens once in a while.
Oh, and one thing for season 5, they are definitely going to have to tell us what's the deal with Fatima. Is she fully changed over? Is she an Incredible Hulk? Can she change sometimes and not change sometimes? It'd be back to normal sometimes. It'll be weird if she comes strolling out of the catacombs in the daytime. Hey guys, I'm back.
I think she might.
Shit.
And I won't say too much because I have this coming out in my my From video tomorrow. That'll be out, so be on the lookout for that. But I think there's going to be an interesting part of an interesting few possibilities, I guess you could say, for Fatima's character heading to season 5. But no, I think I think at least at the beginning, I think she's still going to have some degree of her humanity. I think, you know, when we look at the whole Golem storyline, I don't see like the golem itself playing any kind of like real part in the storyline other than it being that kind of symbolic representation of something that Fatima could kind of draw on, like a like a talisman of sorts. But I think in the pursuit of trying to build this perfect champion to protect the town, she effectively became a champion to protect the town. Fatima is the golem, essentially. So I think that's going to be I think they could go that way with her storyline in season 5, where at the beginning she still has some of her humanity. And she can kind of use that to help them. But slowly as the season goes on, maybe she starts to slip a little bit more and more into like full-on monster
mode. Yeah. And I mean, her ability to hold off groups of monsters just by screaming. I mean, realistically, there's a dozen of the monsters and she weighs a buck o' nothing. Even if they did fight, they could get her aside and take her out pretty quick.
Yeah, it's almost like maybe they can't attack each other. Like, I don't know.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Who knows? Maybe they can't harm each other. If they're cursed to kind of this dreadful existence, I suppose, whatever cursed them would make it so they can't just kill each other and get out of the curse. So maybe that's part of it. Maybe they can't even harm each other.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know.
She can't harm them either. So
that's a possibility as well. Exactly.
I don't know. Yeah, that's just pure guessing.
I
have no idea what they got for season 5.
No idea. No idea what they're going to do for Fatima in season 5. No clue. But we'll see. We'll see. Will she be her own golem, or will she just be full-on freaking monster? But again, Victor gets back to Colony House after hearing all of the the barking in the woods. And wonders, okay, what the hell is going on? Like, was this actually a memory that I'm remembering, or is this a dream? And lo and behold, he ends up finding the drawings that confirm it, essentially. The drawing of the dog, the drawing of the massacre itself. It's the dog for starters. So again, right from the very beginning, he's remembering things, having these memories triggered for him. There's the dog barking. There's the massacre. And there's the boy in white just standing fucking surrounded by entrails. Looking super creepy. And even the tone and like the demeanor of the boy in white seemed a little bit different in season 1 than the rest of the seasons. But I don't know, maybe that's just because the actor was a lot younger then. Yeah. And of course, this was when the sign was still on the whole motel. The Star Magic Hotel sign was still up there. I wonder if we'll ever get a reason or a flashback as to how that thing fell. Did it just degrade over time and just fall? Or did something happen? Again, we do know that we don't see the car in the pool here at this point. The car that's tipped over in the pool. Maybe that car hits the pole, knocks over the Star Magic thing, and ends up in the pool. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, that would stand to reason.
I mean, it's a possibility, right? Maybe, I don't know.
I mean, why would they put it up and then lay it down if they're not going to show us?
Yeah, exactly. Why show us the difference that it was up there back then and it's not there now? And of course, that the upside down car in the pool is here now and not there back then. Maybe. We'll see. We shall see. But again, episode 4 definitely gives us a lot of big stuff. Big stuff that just completely sets up tons of stuff for the show for the rest of the series. And yeah, this is very much the building blocks. But last 3 scenes that definitely want to touch on. Now, and this is a huge fan favorite. I think this scene, I think a lot of people who like Boyd really love this scene where earlier in the episode, we saw Jim's version of this, where, Jim kind of just like breaks down and cries. But Boyd is kind of like made of sterner, tougher stuff. And we see even Boyd, needs his moment where he kind of just needs to break down every once in a while. But his breaking down is like letting out the most gnarly of fucking war cries I've ever heard in my life. And then just kind of, boom, goes off to dinner like it was nothing. So this was a great fucking scene.
Tucks in the shirt, adjust the pants.
And I love that, you know, it
Amber's good.
cuts right to the fucking dinner.
Yeah.
So good. It's so good. It's so good. It's such a good fucking scene, right? Like, it really fucking is, man. It's such a good scene.
Yeah. And again, I mean, it speaks to the pressure that he's under, and then the facade he has to put on, for, you know, the public facade that he has to put on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The fish and loaves, the man taking care of everybody with no concern for himself. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's Mr. Fish and Loaves for you. And again, it speaks to the kind of, you know, that duality that is in just about every person, where, you know, everybody has, you know, different faces for different circumstances. Where, you know, Boyd will be able to be one thing by himself when it's just him, there's nobody around. Yet, like you said, now he's on the clock. Now he's Sheriff Boyd. This isn't personal Boyd that can kind of break down and scream and mourn about, you know, what happened to my family. This is Sheriff Boyd, got to get back on the clock and do my thing. So it speaks to the kind of, you know, the different faces that sometimes we have to wear just to kind of get through life. But yeah, you really see how much Boyd is carrying here in this episode as well. I mean, you kind of always get the sense right from the very beginning of the series that Boyd is that kind of character where he's carrying a huge burden. Like, you kind of know that right away. But in this episode in particular, it really showcases why he does really have a big burden on his shoulders, and everything that really encompasses. By the time you get to see episode 4, you really get a sense of everything on his plate.
And that he's a person that he's not immune to it, because he could have just been always, you know, they could have just made him that perfect character that always has the answer. Everybody goes to, he always has the answer, never has any problems. Nope, he's a real person. Sometimes sometimes it stacks up. And we've seen Donna break down. We've seen, you know, pretty much everybody break down in one way or another at one point. So it basically grounds it into reality that these are actual people, not you know, not perfect.
No, 100%. And I think that's why it plays even better into kind of, you know, the blue collar nature of a lot of the cast, where they just look like your average everyday people that you would see on the street. And it kind of drives that kind of fact home a little bit more, that these are real, just regular people that are stuck in this horrible position, this horrible place. But yeah, really good scene. Yeah, the scream was good. Scream was really fucking good. He composes. He is at the diner. Yeah, how composed he is at the diner is hilarious. It's that juxtaposition, right? That quick little fucking 180 where it's just completely night and day fucking difference, from just completely crashing out to just straight up Sheriff Boyd.
Amber's
Smile on his face.
Yeah.
And Julie, how is she?
Just right into a conversation, right? You know, like it never fucking happened.
How about those Yankees? Yeah.
How you guys settling into the new place? You find everything you need, all right? Fuck me. Yeah, Boyd's great. And again, it's very much capped off with the brilliant fucking performance from Howard Perrineau. I mean, he just pulls off certain scenes that just, it's like, damn, this fucking dude's good. This dude's good. Dude's got
absolutely.
it.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, and if they had cast anybody else, it definitely would not have been the same.
Couldn't see it.
And and he's elevated other people that he's paired with. I mean, we talked about Cautry, Kenny for sure.
Oh yeah.
The scenes that they had in later seasons, working off of each other. really, sometimes they saved an entire episode. Sometimes, I would say.
100%. When you have an actor like Harold Perrineau, I have to imagine that, it raises the level of all of the other actors and actresses around you on set, where everybody probably wants and feels a responsibility to perform at the level that he is. Because from what we hear, Harold Perrineau brings it every fucking day he's on set. He doesn't slack. He fucking goes, from what we hear. So yeah, I have to imagine that's a great bar to set, and to have the rest of the cast probably want to live up to that. Especially when it's your kind of leader doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
and Donna's another one.
Yeah,
because some of these are Hollywood guys, but some of these are people that have worked mainly in Canada as well. And I think that's part of. I mean, that they're not all like, we don't know every character from something else. That's also a kind of a strength. I mean, Julie was kind of like a catalog model, I think. But again, the realistic look, the fact that not everybody has these goofy looking veneers with, the perfect, glowing white veneer teeth and stuff. It really makes the show, something, it makes it special, makes it more grounded, makes it definitely more relatable for me. But yeah, Harold Perrineau, though, he definitely lifts. I mean, I guess we could go down the list, with Cautry, Kenny, Donna. He's
even Ellis to a certain extent. Like that scene at the end of season 1 when Ellis finally kind of forgives his dad. That's like a solid scene from Ellis, and I very much feel that is Harold's performance kind of bringing him up. Even in that one scene in season 4 when Ellis kind of tells everyone to get out of the room, and he kind of steps into the position of being the father figure for a second. He does. He levels up everybody around him. And speaking of leveling up, we also have Sunflower here, who has just gifted some more jewels. Thank you so much, Sunflower, for the gift of the 2 jewels and sparkles, the 10 jewels and hiding, and the 10 jewels and thumbs up. Thank you so much, Sunflower, for the jewels. Very, very much appreciate you, my friend. And I owe you a woozy daisy. But yeah, fucking, what can you say, right? Harold Perrineau, super great, really good scene here. Just the quick difference of just freaking out to sitting super calm and quiet. What can you say? But then the episode ends off on 2 interesting scenes where we get this scene of Sarah getting the message of kill the boy. Now at the beginning, at this point, we really had no idea where these voices were coming from, who was manipulating Sarah in the slightest. Now here we are all these seasons later, and it seems it's looking clearer and clearer that it was the man in yellow the whole time doing this to Sarah. So you think this was the man in yellow too, saying kill the boy?
I think it was. I mean,
I think so.
And this leads us back to the thing I keep referencing, where people were like, well, how did the man in yellow influence Sarah, with the seizures and the markings and everything from such a long distance? And the from MGM Twitter page said who said it was a long distance. So that kind of like, I don't know if it, was there somebody in the diner who was sus?
Hey, with so many extras and so many background characters around, how do we know the man in yellow hasn't been, killing certain residents, turning into them, and walking among them this whole fucking time?
Yep.
Could be.
And that definitely, like Taizo says, I don't think kill the boy was for Ethan. I think we've kind of figured that it could have been, is it Victor or is it the boy in white?
Victor and the boy in white seem to be 2 of the the most popular guesses we see outside of Ethan.
Right.
What about you? You think it's boy in white? You think it's Ethan? Or do you think it's Victor?
I'm thinking probably more Victor just because she hadn't even seen the boy in white.
Exactly.
It's got, yeah, and Victor's the common thread tying the old, the old times back into the new times. But this was, this was definitely, for us to, for our benefit as well as for Sarah's benefit, making Ethan the target, even if, she misunderstands the meaning of the message. I mean, we as the audience misunderstood the meaning of the message as well. Until we found out more about, more little bits and details that would make us think that Victor really was the boy that's being referenced.
Yeah, I think it's a possibility. I also think it's a possibility that it could be Ethan as well. I think sometimes the show, sometimes what you see is what you get sometimes.
Really?
And we know that, maybe Ethan is going to be, play an important role in the end. And he kind of has up until this point, with him being the kind of storyteller of a sense, where Julie's kind of the story walker. Ethan seems to kind of be the storyteller. So no, I wouldn't be surprised if this is just referring to Ethan, and it is just that simple. But
so
no, I like
the
Victor theory too, though.
Yeah, you think the Man in Yellow would have because at this point, at this point in the story, Ethan's been there all of a day and a half. You think Man in Yellow clocked him as the critical character that quick?
Maybe, I don't know. No clue. But then again, I mean, Victor's been there for Lord knows how long. If the Man in Yellow wanted him off the board. And maybe he has tried before too. Maybe that's a possibility. Maybe he just needed people to show up. But telling Sarah to kill the boy, Victor's not a boy. Victor, he's not a boy anymore. The Man in Yellow knows Victor isn't a boy anymore. So that's the part that that kind of gets me. Like, why would the Man in Yellow write this message on Sarah's arm, say kill the boy, and expect Sarah to assume he means Victor? Of course, Sarah's going to think it's Ethan.
Yeah, true. Yeah. He should specify by name.
Victor
maybe the Man in Yellow. Yeah, maybe he tried to kill Victor with diabetes by making him eat peaches for 30 years.
Trying to give him the beats. Maybe. And yeah, it could just be test. Yeah, and that's the thing. Maybe he didn't want Ethan off the board at all. Maybe he just wanted to test how far he could push Sarah, how much he could get Sarah to do. Is that a possibility as well? Absolutely. But no, I mean, for me, when I see boy, I have a hard time believing it's Victor, because Victor's not a boy anymore. And just for that other perspective, where if Sarah is reading this, Sarah is definitely going to assume the boy is Ethan. Like, how would Sarah not think the boy is Ethan? So that's why I think it was probably meant for Ethan. But again, I think the Victor theory is just as plausible too.
Yeah. And now, I mean, now that hearing your explanation, now I'm kind of leaning back towards Ethan. And I guess this was kind of,
Sarah would have no context, no reference to think boy means Victor.
Right. And, then they did get the call back in season 4 when it reinforced Sophia's testing her control over Sarah to see, exactly how, can she go back to that well again? And it turns out, yes, she can.
Yeah, could be. And again, or is there also the possibility that it wasn't the Man in Yellow doing this? That's also a possibility as well. I mean, we're assuming it's the Man in Yellow because we saw the Man in Yellow doing this to Sarah in season 4. But this kind of stigmata message carved kind of into Sarah's arm, a little bit different than what we saw Sophia doing to Sarah in season 4 in terms of just the straight up voices in the head. This wasn't a voice in the head. This was a message carved in the arm. So you do bring up a good point, Ty. I mean, just looking at it, it's a different method. It's a different method of communication that the Man in Yellow usually uses with Sarah. So could this message have come from something else, maybe? I think that's a very, very plausible possibility. 100%. We have not seen the Man in Yellow communicate like this before or ever since. So it's possible. But then again, could just be a test too. Could just be a test. I like both theories. I like both theories. Honestly, part of me thinks the kimono woman is the whole other entity responsible for making some mess of her own. Interesting. Yeah, again, we really don't know the full extent of what the kimono woman was doing, do we? What kind of role she played. Is she ever going to return? I don't know. A lot about the kimono woman we still don't know, too, for sure. The only thing we really know about the kimono woman is that she's something different. She is something completely different from the monsters that we know, different from the man in yellow. The kimono woman is unique in the sense where we haven't seen anything like her. I don't know. I don't know if we'll see her again. You think we'll see the kimono woman again?
I think I mean I would be surprised, and that would be another one where why would we need to? I mean, if you had infinite amount of time to explain, then it wouldn't be a problem. But I think she 100% fulfilled her role.
Yes, me too. That's kind of how.
And she's gone. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if she was meant to be the kind of supernatural midwife of a sense to bring Smiley back into the world, then yeah, she fulfilled her purpose, and there's really no reason to bring her back unless another monster dies and you have to go through that process all over again. There's really no reason to bring her back.
Hide your womb, Patty.
Fucking Patty. If it's gonna happen to anyone, I'd rather it be Patty than anyone else. At least we would know it would lead to her eventually probably turning into a monster herself, and we'd be rid of her. Nothing else. Eventually. Did Frank's kids have to die to make room for Ethan? I've only seen 2 kids, Megan and Ethan, a 1 kid at a time rule. That is something that has been, people have been wondering about, I guess you could say. How come there aren't more kids in Fromville at once? I feel like the most children we've ever seen in Fromville at once are 2, when Victor and Eloise were both there at the same time. And it seemed, from what we can gather, that Victor and Eloise and Victor's mom and their mom lived in Fromville for a few years before the massacre actually happened. From what we gather, 78 is when they landed in Fromville, but 82 is when the massacre happens, is what we hear from Jade in season 4. So they were there for a little while, at least for a few years. There were 2 children in Fromville with Eloise and Victor. So yeah, I don't know. Ever since then, we've only ever seen 1 child in Fromville at a time. Megan dies, Ethan shows up. Is that a coincidence, or is there something more to it? At this point, I'm kind of just leaning more into it's just really a coincidence until we get like an actual narrative reason that kind of leans into some of this stuff. I don't know. I feel like, again, we've seen 2 children in the town once before with Victor and Eloise, even though Eloise did eventually die. But I don't know. I feel like that's always been an interesting discussion that the fandom has been diving into ever since the very beginning, in terms of, does there need to be a certain number of people in Fromville where whenever a certain number dies, they always get that exact same number to replace them? And that's been an interesting discussion where people are literally going into the episodes and counting every single death and every single addition to see if it matches up.
Right. And I mean, if it isn't, it was pretty weird that immediately after the Colony House massacre, the bus
a pattern
arrived.
emerged.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, I mean, it would be unfair of them to do that with the bus arriving if that isn't the case. It would be leading us. I mean, it would be a red herring, but to what purpose? Just to we tricked you. Yeah, I liked it. I'm a lot more of a fan of the parody, and the like X number in, X number out. And it doesn't always have to be immediate, but like within a pretty short time frame, it does level out, and that would make it more obvious and more important for it should people start dying and there not being a replacement arriving. So. And they made a very specific point for Kenny and Boyd to discuss 47 people. 47? Are you sure? 47. Yeah. And that was after he canvassed the entire population in the wake of Tilly's death. But like you said, it was before they knew that Jim was dead.
Yeah. So technically, when Kenny would have made that count originally, there were actually 48 people in Frumville for a little while. And I mean, is that why Tilly had to die? Is the number supposed to be 47? We've seen these 4s and 7s on the show from the very beginning in terms of these numbers seemingly being kind of important, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. Again, I think that's always been an intriguing discussion in terms of, are we seeing the exact number of new residents as we're seeing old residents die? Very fascinating. Very fascinating. Yeah, it does seem like people are always replaced, though. It kind of does, doesn't it? I mean, we at least have reference, right? It's not like we're kind of just pulling things out of thin air. We have plenty of reference that kind of shows us that. We see it in season 1, the Colony House massacre happens, where they lose quite a lot of people. And then boom, literally a whole bus full of people shows up to replace everyone that's lost in Colony House. And even before the Matthews family arrive, we see Megan and her mother had to die. And boom, as soon as that happens, the Matthews family and Jade arrive. Mm-hmm. So there is at least context. There's at least a precedent, I guess you could say, pointing to some kind of potential correlation of people dying and then showing up not long after.
Right. And certain ones of the bus died immediately. The EMTs when they arrived back with
when Tabitha came back and with Henry, only her and Henry survived. The pastor, he didn't live when he came back with Sophia.
Right. It's interesting,
yeah. It's definitely always been an interesting discussion.
I would be interested, at least at some point in season 5, whether they confirm it or deny it. Just some kind of indicator that is it truly meaningless, or is there actually a correlation?
Yeah, that would be ideal.
Oh, remember the kid? There was a kid. Was he sick or something? And his mom went somewhere far away to get a toy to make him happier.
The toy. Yeah, mom went and traveled alone to go get this that toy horse thing, and ends up getting stuck in Frumville on her way home. Never gets to bring it to the kid, unfortunately. And we hear that story from Victor, of course. And speaking of Victor, this episode ends off on him digging all of these graves, almost as though he knows something catastrophic is about to come. And of course, this happens on the eve of him just finding out that this massacre was real, getting this memory back that there was a giant massacre in Frumville when he was a child. And I think Victor, he's getting this memory back. He's seeing 2 cars arrive at the same time. That apparently seems to be a bad omen as far as he believes. And he just thinks that something bad is coming. And he turns out to be fucking right. I mean, it turns out to be very fucking right.
Just getting a head start.
Yeah, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Him digging 6 graves so far. Does he continue to dig more, afterwards? I don't know. But as far as we can see, yes, we got 6 graves. He's in the 6th right now, is what it seems. But yeah, I don't know. Again, what triggered this? Was it the 2 cars showing up? Was it some of the other bad omens? Was it the trees moving? Whatever the case is, or maybe it's all of these things pointed to, or at least told Victor that something really bad was coming. And I'm ready for Victor to remember it all too. Absolutely. This is my favorite scene. Awesome. Yeah, this was a good scene. This was a pretty good scene, and we'll actually we'll play it out. We'll play it out a bit. We shall play it a bit.
What the hell are you doing? You're freaking people out.
I was just trying to get a head start this time.
And Victor. An enigma wrapped inside a question mark. But yeah, there we have it. End of episode 4, Victor digging all the graves, which again was very fortuitous because we know that the Colony House massacre comes literally 3 episodes later. So Victor was right. Victor was spot on. There is something coming, and it's going to be a pretty big death. Episode 7, the Colony House Massacre, is one of the most iconic episodes in the entire series, not just for the massacre itself, but for everything that happens in that episode. Cautry's death, all of it. But yeah, there we have it, folks. Episode 4 is in the books.
Mm-hmm. Yes. 7, the Colony House Massacre. It's going to be it's a very, again, aside from just the massacre itself, there's a lot of additional lore. It's Victor and Julie escape down the rope, down the rope
down
we get to see Ellis's plot armor, where he jumps off the porch and his leg heals up quite quickly. A lot of that's going to be a good episode for sure. But
it's a good one. It's a good one. Yeah, definitely 100% foreshadowing for Colony House. Definitely. Victor knew something was coming. Didn't they say they don't him to dig graves? I mean, or they don't want him, or they don't like him to dig graves. Did you mean maybe?
Somebody said, didn't they say they told him to dig graves? 2 people in the chat.
Did they tell him to?
I not in this scene. I mean, that's why I wanted to see this scene played out. Unless it's another one of those Mandela effects.
Yeah, I don't remember him being told to dig graves.
Yeah, all I remembered. Yeah, and it played out as you played the actual episode here. I knew that he said that he just wanted to get a head start, but
just wanted to get a head start. Exactly.
Unless he references it later at some point in a different scene.
Mm-hmm. Not that I recall, but I could be wrong. Who knows? From what I can tell, this was Victor doing this of his own volition, because he's seeing these signs of something bad is about to happen again. He's seeing the repeating signs. But and yeah, like you said, he wanted to get a head start. But that's how kind of I remember it. But I could be wrong.
But I'm already subject to one Mandela effect from, so don't feel bad, guys.
No, and From is totally the kind of show where that kind of thing happens every once in a while, just by the nature of all of the shit that they throw at you. Like the Donna thing, the Donna's sister, where so many people were convinced that there was an actual flashback of watching Donna's sister die, just because of how vivid Donna kind of describes it.
Mm-hmm.
Mandela effect is real, people. It is real. But yeah, I think you just remember the pattern. That's kind of how I remember it. He saw these signs kind of popping up again, and he thought, okay, something bad is freaking coming. Something bad this way comes. But yeah, there we have it, folks. Episode 4 is in the books. Now, of course, next we'll be diving into season 1, episode 5 this Saturday night. That'll be PM and I on our usual Saturday night show. So if you guys want to check out episode 5 between now and then and see what any new kind of clues, any new kind of theories that you pick up on, and we will be diving into all of it Saturday night. And then, of course, Sunday is the season finale of House of the Dragon. And I have high hopes for episode 8. This season has been up and down, but it's been better than I thought it was. Definitely better than I thought it was going to be. But we will see how they end the season off on. And of course, my newest from video will be out on the channel tomorrow. So keep an eye out for that as well. But yeah, there we have it, Ravener. Episode 5 next, and then on to 6.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really been fun going back and exploring these, because we've done watch parties, we've watched it a dozen times, just to analyze it. But going back and watching them, in order again, after a pretty extended period of time. And I mentioned that I was watching Hell on Wheels again. And if somebody said, "Hey, have you seen Hell on Wheels?" I'll say, "Yes, I've seen it." But it's been so long that I don't remember anything. So I'm midway through season 2, and it's all new to me again. So it's really enjoyable to go back. And, again, I'm not a huge theory guy, or I'm not trying to look for clues and links and stuff, but they're all over in these early episodes. So it's really enjoyable to to go back and see, oh, okay, some things do get abandoned and some things do get recalled in future seasons. And again, it's also fun just to go back and think of my mindset the first time I was watching this and taking in this information at the same rate that I was learning the world at the same time as Matthew's family was learning the world.
Exactly.
And it made it so fun. Yeah, so fun.
Yeah. And you're 100% right. And I think that's like I love that kind of storytelling when you're dropping these characters into this new, completely mysterious world that they know nothing about, but bringing the audience along that journey at the very same time where we're learning this stuff in real time with the Matthews family. And I think that's what makes those first few episodes so kind of fun because you're going on that journey with them. But yeah, and in terms of, are we going to do season 2? Well, I mean, that's up to you guys. I mean, when we're done with season 1, if you guys want to do season 2, we can definitely do season 2, 100%. That I will totally leave that up to the chat. Once we get closer to the season 1 finale, maybe I'll throw a poll in the chat and you guys can vote if we want to do season 2 or not. And if you want to, hell yeah, we'll do season 2. Absolutely. Absolutely. And yeah, I believe Ravener, I believe Ravener will be there for the House of the Dragon streams. I believe.
Yep, I plan to. I was thinking I wasn't all that into the first several episodes. I told you I missed it, or I downloaded them and then maybe let them sit for a day or two because I just wasn't super engaged. After last season, it took a while for me to get into it, but as it progressed towards towards the end, and especially these last few episodes that I've been watching in the Discord watch parties the night of, and then for this finale, there's a lot going. I mean, there's definitely going to be stuff happening in this finale, so it should be worth it. It definitely should be worth it.
It should be. I think it's going to be interesting to say the least. It's going to be. I think it's going to be like close to a 70-minute episode from what I'm hearing. But I don't know. We'll see. How are they going to tackle the Battle of Tumbleton? How are they going? From what I mean, could they potentially even merge Tumbleton Part 1 and Tumbleton Part 2 into just one big battle? I hear people wondering if they're going to do that. I don't know. It definitely seems like there are going to be a lot of changes from book to show, just with the fact that Damon's going to be there with Caraxes on top of all this other craziness. So I'm not going to lie. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing how the season is going to end. I thought episode 7 was pretty decent. We got that, very kind of gratuitous dragon battle, which was fun to watch. Again, this is House of the Dragon after all. It is the dance of the dragons after all. We should be getting dragon battles like that. But again, the Aegon scene at the end of episode 7 is what really kind of stole the show for me anyway. So yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic heading into this finale. We shall see. We shall see. Yeah, maybe they'll do one big one.
Yeah.
Who knows?
But this is it, man. I mean, there are a few things as a book reader, we've kind of reconciled ourselves not to try to, and again, we do it all the way through the episodes. Yeah. We say, well, this, the book did this, but Tumbleton is one of those things that they can't not put in there. They have to put it in there. There's a few set piece battles that they absolutely have to put in the show. They can't do a House of the Dragon, Dance of the Dragon show without putting X, Y, and Z in. And this is one of those. This is one of the obligatory, battles that they have to do. So, I hope they splash the cash and have, super cool effects. They did really good last week with the fan service, dragon face off. It looked great. So yeah, I'm actually pretty optimistic about this upcoming episode, which is something rare to hear.
No, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I am. I'm looking forward to it. Season 3 has been better than I thought it was going to be. Definitely not without its problems, of course. There are times where you kind of want to just, pluck your eyes out. But yeah, it's been better than I thought it was, for sure. Looking forward to the finale, ladies and gents. Looking forward to the House of the Dragon finale. That'll be this Sunday night, of course. But, of course, before that, we have Saturday night, which will be our next edition of diving back into the beginning of Fromville Season 1. This Saturday, PM and I will be diving headfirst into Season 1, Episode 5. So again, you guys have a few days, if you have a few days between now and then, to watch episode 5 and see whatever, any kind of new clues or theories you guys come up on, and then come hang out with us Saturday night and we will dive into all of the craziness. But again, big thank you to each and every one of you. Stay safe out there, ladies and gents. Keep those tinfoil hats on, folks, and we will see you on the next one. Cheers.
So people still driving around, huh?
It's the worst part. You still expect to find the road that takes you home? It's the part that's cruel.
Maybe we missed the sign for the highway.
We didn't miss the sign.
Where are we? So you're telling me I'm in a mystical town. I can't leave.
These woods are not safe after dark.
I can still hear those things whispering. We are stuck.
I'm gonna find us a way out of this place.
Everyone in this town has been exactly where you are right now. There are things you need to know about where you are. This is gonna be the worst night of your life. Do you believe in monsters?